Hey guys, tonight we glide through candle-thin alleyways of old Edo, noses tingling with the mingled scents of pine tar roofs, soy-simmered supper, and the faint metallic tang of an iron bell swaying somewhere above your head. Lantern glow pools and quiet puddles, and each pool ripples a trembling reflection of the Firewatch Tower that rises like a ladder to the moon. 6 stories of cedar ribs, all creaking softly in the midnight breeze. You listen. Distant shamisen fades, crickets hush, and somewhere a charcoal brazier pops. You're about to climb that skeletal tower with nothing but a paper lantern and a pair of wooden clappers, and honestly, you probably won't survive this if you look down halfway up. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. Your sandals pad across silvery gravel, each step a muted drumbeat echoing against low earthen walls. You trail your fingers along the grain of sliding shoji doors, feeling paper still warm from evening lamps. Above, the tower's watchman lantern swings in a lazy arc, casting shy gold across the dark river of roof tiles. You trudge to the ladder, its rungs slick with night dew, and start climbing. Breath puffs in soft clouds. Cedar sap smells like cold tea sweetened by midnight. Halfway up, wind whistles through lashings, coaxing a hushed whistle that seems to say, "You sure?" Joke 1 lands. A silent wooden plank squeaks a protest at your weight, clearly wishing it had taken the night off. At 100 heartbeats later you perch in the tiny hut atop the Hinomiyagura, body tingling with altitude and the thrill of being the highest soul in the ward. Mainstream historical fact drifts into your thoughts. After Edo's catastrophic Great Fire of 1657, the shogunate scattered these towers across the city so watchmen could spot sparks before they bloomed into city-eating infernos. Each structure stood just tall enough to peer over the sea of wooden eaves but short enough not to outshine the shogun's own castle. Politics even in architecture. You set down your lantern and let its mellow halo paint cedar planks in honey. The tower sways, subtle as a lullaby rocking chair, and you realize the builders designed flexibility on purpose. Rigid posts would snap during earthquakes, and that would ruin everyone's bedtime. Joke 2 floats by. You imagine a stern samurai homeowner filing noise complaints against earthquakes for rattling his collectible tea bowls. You reach for the bronze fire bell, fingertip brushing its cold lip. Long braided hemp hangs beneath, threads rough against skin. Protocol says you ring once at the top of every hour. 2 slow gong tones carry farther in damp air, but right now you simply inhale the hush. Around you Edo glows like amber set against velvet. Charcoal braziers flicker in alley corners, silhouette of a cat arches across adjacent roof lines, and far in the distance, the Sumida River glints in skinny crescents reflecting lantern barges. A quiet movement catches your eye. Below, 2 members of the Hikeshire Fire Brigade stride through the night, clappers clicking a slow, all-clear rhythm. Their indigo happy jackets flash white fireman symbols with each torch swing. You remember the quirky tidbit whispered during training. Some watchmen supposedly tied silken tassels to their ears so they'd tickle awake if they dozed, half fashion statement, half survival hack. Historians still argue whether tassel tickles actually reduced accidents or just provided neighbors with gossip fodder. Leaning on the rail, you practice the nightly survey. Your lantern light falls on neat rows of cypress shingles. You squint, tracing the horizon for a spark no bigger than a firefly's blink. You scan the bathhouse district, steam plumes curl ghost-like, perfectly harmless. Then the sake quarter. 1 reveler wobbles home under a paper umbrella printed with dancing cranes. The umbrella tilts, but no flame flickers. You let shoulders unclench, letting the faint drift of rice wine laughter soothe nerve endings. Wind changes direction. Chilly fingers slipping through sleeve openings. It carries the fragrance of white chrysanthemum from a nearby garden and the whisper of a shamisen note folding into nothing. You open a cedar chest fixed to the floorboards. Inside lie emergency sky rockets, their bamboo shafts smelling faintly of pine resin. If flames ever appear, you launch these fireworks so neighboring towers can triangulate danger. You cradle one, admiring lacquered kanji scratched along its body. Rise higher than fear. Joke 3 nudges you. Imagine misfiring and alerting the city to an emergency laundry day instead. Moon dips lower, staining the rooftops in diluted pewter. Your stomach murmurs. You pull a rice ball wrapped in persimmon leaf from your sash. The leaf crackles politely as you bite. Vinegar-sweet rice calms midnight hunger, and salt sharpens your senses. As you chew, you track the faint smoke thread of a distant hearth being banked down for slumber. No sparks leap. The bell rope dangles before you, waiting. Gentle fingers tug once, twice. A mellow gong drifts across Edo like a bronze whale song, settling over alleyways and sliding beneath futon covers. Dogs hush. Even the raven perched on a distant pagoda tilts its head, deciding the note isn't gossip-worthy enough for caw commentary. Minutes spill like rice grains from a split barrel. Lantern oil gutters low, flame shrinking to a golden pearl. You shield it with a calloused hand until breeze eases. The stillness deepens. Even your pulse slows to match tower sway. Below, the hikers finish their patrol, tapping a final clack pattern before melting into shadows. You resettle on a straw cushion, spine meeting rail, hood drawn up against the bite of pre-dawn chill. Thoughts wander. You picture dawn's first merchant carts rattling down these streets, children racing to be first at miso porridge stalls, and neighbors greeting each other with relief that their city still stands unscorched. Your eyelids threaten treason, sliding half-mast, but you lift the tassel watch trick from memory. No silk on hand, so you tighten your headband until fabric nudges eyebrows. It works, just uncomfortable enough to keep you semi-alert, not outright miserable. A rumor drifts back. Remember the notion of dream sheep nibbling nightmares? You swear a soft bleat echoes from a garden below, but maybe it's your own yawn disguised as livestock. Either way, no smoke rises. Night stays folded like a secret letter, edges crisp, ink still wet. Far away temple drums mark the hour, subtle, muffled, respectful. You echo them with one last lazy bell pulse, bronze song fluttering over rooftops before dissolving into starlight. Your lantern finally gutters out, wick whispering a soft farewell. Down the ladder wait tatame mats, maybe a stolen 2-minute nap, then another climb before sunrise yawns wide. For now, you inhale cedar, chrysanthemum, and faint ash traces of a city that sleeps secure under your watch. You exhale gratitude, a cloud that merges with mist, and let the tower rock you like a cradle built of vigilance and dreams. The hush after the bell fades into that delicate gap when night considers rolling over for one more dream, and you decide to sneak a stretch. Knees creak like old shoji runners while you uncurl from the cushion, arms reaching overhead until your sleeves whisper against cedar beams. A pale plume of breath escapes, hanging a moment before joining the low river fog drifting between rooftops. Down in the alley, a single candle flickers awake behind rice paper, and you catch the faint clatter of chopsticks, someone's late-night noodles or early breakfast wager. Either way, the scent twirls up, teasing your empty rice ball wrapper. Joke one rumbles in your stomach, suggesting you could bribe the tower for a delivery service, but the latter is terrible at customer support. Time to make the rounds. You ease down the slick rungs with lantern now dark, trusting moon-bleached clouds to guide each careful footfall. Halfway, the wind turns playful, tugging at your headband so it slips forward and momentarily blinds you. A tiny shriek escapes. Not yours, of course, you'd never, and you wrestle fabric back in place before dignity slides onto the street. When boots kiss gravel again, you pause beneath the tower, feeling its timber skeleton hum. A low, gentle vibration like a cat purring after guarding the house all night. Mainstream historical fact ambles beside you. Edo's night patrols weren't just lookout duty. They inspected water buckets placed outside every home, ensuring each cypress pail was full and fresh, lids loose enough to flip off at a spark's notice. You set off down the lantern-striped lane, tapping each bucket lid with the back of your hand, listening for the hollow thunk that says someone skimped on refills. First pail, perfect, ripple clinks. Second, half empty, so you lift it by the rope handle and walk to the communal well. As you lower the wooden scoop, cool iron starlight mirrors back at you. Drawing water becomes meditation. Rope creaks, surface parts, scoop fills, droplets trail silver threads. You lug the brimming bucket home, set it by the door, and chalk a discreet mark on the lintel so the resident knows an invisible guardian topped them off. Joke 2 surfaces, you imagine billing folks for midnight hydration services, payable in dumplings. While chalking, you glance upward and notice the relief watchman, tiny against the moon, starting his climb. His lantern sways, creating gold commas in the mist. You still have time before shift swap, so you drift toward a narrow lane lined with Kara storehouses. Thick clay walls make them fire-resistant, but damp air breeds moss, and moss births slippery accidents. The Watch Guild issues tiny patinaed scrapers for moss checks, and yours waits in your sleeve. You kneel, scrape a patch away, revealing the ochre clay beneath. The texture looks like dragon scales. Quirky tidbit reminds you that some Edo children believed mossy Kara could sprout tails at night and lumber across streets hunting unattended sandals. Historians still argue whether that rumor developed as bedtime mischief deterrent or as coded critique of wealthy merchants hoarding rice behind those walls, head tilted. You nearly forget the scraper when a distant snap echoes. Hayashiji clappers in a different ward strike the pattern for suspicious cooking. Smoke. Your muscles tense, but the cadence soon switches to false alarm. Just burnt miso. Relief breath slides out like wind from a paper fan. You pocket the scraper and follow the lane toward the canal, wanting one last sweep before dawn dulls lanterns. Mist thickens near water. Dew collects on your eyelashes, turning the world into soft focus ukiyo-e. Wooden walkways groan underfoot, and tiny crabs skitter between planks. At canal's edge, you check the caged skyrocket box. 3 gleaming arrows nested, lacquer still flawless. You remember training instructions. Aim above rooftops, away from temples, and pray wind behaves. Joke 3 flashes, imagine a rogue rocket fishtailing into the bathhouse, declaring shampoo foam a 5-alarm emergency. Your path loops back toward the tower, and you notice the relief watchman now at the ladder's halfway mark, lantern rocking like a sleepy metronome. His silhouette seems confident, but you've heard stories. Rookies freezing from fear of heights, clinging to rungs until another watchman climbed up and politely pushed from behind. You decide to linger by the base, a silent assurance in case nerves wobble. While you wait, you run fingertips over the carved plaque fixed to the first post. Intricate kanji declaring the tower's dedication after the Mairiki fire. Deep grooves speak of years, but your favorite detail is a tiny carved turtle at the corner, shell segmented into 8 panels. Old lore claims turtles ward off fire because their shells resemble shingles. The symbolism comforts even if practicality is questionable. You wonder if the craftsman chuckled when chiseling that secret mascot, tucking hope into timber. The relief watchman finally reaches the hatch, bows, and mutters thanks down the ladder well. You answer with a low "Atsukaresima" and step aside, but before leaving, you raise your hand. A subtle question? Bell tested? He nods, taps the rope. A muted bronze murmur tumbles out, approved by night. Shift done. You allow fatigue to settle in bones like warm sand. Lanterns gutter along the main avenue as vendors extinguish flames. You trace the road home, shoulders already yearning for pillows' moss coolness. On the way, you pass a tiny shrine dedicated to Inari. 2 stone foxes guard offerings of fried tofu and a miniature bucket of rice. You bow, whisper gratitude for another quiet night, and steal a crumb of tofu. Offer it to the raven perched on Tori beam. The bird accepts, drops a fresh black feather into your palm. Another deposit in the ever-eccentric payment plan. Back at the watchman's barack, tatami mats await. Sliding the door, you inhale cedar rice straw scent, and floorboards sigh beneath knees. You unfasten sandals, loosen headband, and notice a fellow watchman sprawled across half your bedding, snore curving like a soft wave. You chuckle silently, lift his arm, and roll him onto his mat. Practice in stealth courtesy. Finally, you nestle onto your own cushion, moss pillow greeting skull like a gentle Titapool stone. You slip the raven feather into the weave, a modest quill dreaming of wings. Outside, the tower bell tolls another hour, this one rung by fresh hands. The note drifts across rooftops, slips through paper windows, and tucks itself beside every sleeper's ear. An audible promise that vigilance stands watch while they roam dream country. You tuck that promise around yourself, blanket of sound, and float toward half-light slumber. Before consciousness drifts, you log one last sense. the faint scent of dawn-blooming plum drifting through the shutters, mingling with lavender sachet and cedar floor. Edo exhales, you mirror. Silence deepens, cradling you in the second heartbeat of the night. Sunlight coaxed by a single shrill rooster pries at your eyelids long before you have any contractual obligation to be conscious. Yet here you are, blinking at cedar ceiling boards that seem to smirk. Day watch isn't our job, but you still have chores. You roll upright, moss nettle pillow retaining the delicate mold of your head like a memory foam ancestor. Fence finder pads past the half-open door, bells swirling a chipper trill that suggests he slept 8 uninterrupted hours on someone else's futon. Joke one yawns alongside you. Clearly the ram skipped the quiet night duties memo and founded a morning motivation committee. You shuffle outside, sandals slapping warm planks. Steam wafts from the communal kettle where a fellow hiker stirs barley porridge with the solemnity of a tea master wielding matcha. He ladles a bowl your way, and you drizzle miso on top, noting the shape of the swirl looks suspiciously like yesterday's Storystone turtle. Breakfast tastes of toasted grain, smoke, and victory earned in silence hours earlier. Mainstream historical fact stretches awake in your mind. Edo's fire brigades adopted a strict rotation. Night sentries like you pass daytime to craftsman duties, keeping gear pristine and morale edible. If equipment failed, the city could burn faster than fresh cedar incense. After bowls clack empty, you join the courtyard inspection line where 20 conical horsehair helmets glint like black beetles drying in sun. You lift each helm, checking for cracks. The 6th one wobbles, lacquer flaking. You run a fingertip across the fissure. It peels like thin caramel. A quirky tidbit surfaces. Some watchmen secretly mixed persimmon tannin into lacquer to craft a scent barrier thought to repel fire sprites. Historians still argue whether fruity fumes genuinely deterred sparks or merely attracted snack-seeking tanuki who, granted, might scare small flames away through sheer mischievous ambience. Helmets done, you move to ladders, thick bamboo lashed with hemp. You heft one onto shoulder. Its weight thumps satisfaction down your spine. But your mind drifts, replaying the night's quiet. You picture the new relief watchman, first shift still fresh on his breath, reciting bell cadence in his sleep. Somewhere, a neighbor likely woke, listened, then rolled deeper into dreams with a grateful smile. Heart warms at that thought, joke 2 whispers that maybe you should start charging gratitude in machi payments. Pillow Comfort Fund could use expansion. Training whistle snaps reverie. Captain Kuma, broad as twin water buckets, calls the squad into formation for hose rope practice. Edo hoses are clever leather tubes, coiled like serpents waiting for command. You grip one end beside a novice so skinny, his happy flaps like koinobori in the breeze. Captain barks cadence, and you sprint, unfurling the hose toward an empty courtyard wall. Water surges from a cypress pump, pressure bending wrists. Sunlight fractures into jewel-bright droplets, raining down in glitter arcs that sparkle against indigo jackets. Cool spray kisses skin, and for a moment you're a child again, chasing summer festival fountains. Drill complete, you coil hose, muscles humming. Captain claps your shoulder, eyes twinkling under shaggy brows. He reminds everyone to inspect fire hooks, the long poles topped with iron claws used to pull apart rooftops and create fire breaks. You hoist a pole, run thumb along the carved kanji. Remove 1 roof, save 10, a quiet mantra of Edo resilience. Lunch approaches, but first the midday patrol. Sun stands high, shadows sharp as brush lines in a woodblock print. You and 3 mates march alley to alley, heads craning for smoke. Vendors call out greetings. Tofu peddler, charcoal seller, senbei maker. You sniff warm soy, thicker than morning fog, and your stomach purrs. A rice cracker vendor offers a broken piece as thanks for last night's vigilance. You accept, payment in crumbs counts. Joke 3 cracks salty between teeth. You vow to tally it in the invisible ledger next to raven feathers and goat approval snorts. Patrol turns onto Herb Street where an apothecary sweeps spark-tempting camphor shavings into a basket. You gently remind him to keep lid damp. He rolls eyes but sprinkles water drop by drop with a pipette, dramatic yet compliant. Beyond, a cluster of children race paper lanterns on sticks, pretending to be towers. You grin, though a younger boy's lantern tilts into a brazier. Reflex surges. You snatch it away just as paper singes. The group gasps, then cheers, turning near flame into chasing hero stories. You advise them. Lantern towers must watch, not crash. Earning nods as solemn as little monks, shadows lengthen. The air chills, sliding from roasted chestnut warmth to compass steel cool. Patrol complete, you finally wander toward the bathhouse. Steam puffs from cedar vents, scented with yuzu peel. You slip inside, water envelopes limbs, heat unspooling tension thread by thread. Under the echo of bamboo ladles you review the day. Helmet repairs, hose drill, lantern rescue. A whisper of pride flutters. Quiet nights require noisy preparation. Bath done, you don fresh kimono, tuck lavender sachet in the fold. Evening glow pours honey over the district. Relief watchman waves from tower base. His shift soon begins. You nod encouragement like passing a baton of midnight calm. Rising wind lifts your sleeve. You glimpse the raven perched on Storystone Ridge, head tilted as if fact-checking sunset. Dinner is simple. Miso, pickled plum, leftover barley. Eating, you overhear two elderly neighbors debate whether tassel tickle technique originated with ruthless daimyo hairdressers. The phrase historians still argue whether slips through their gossip, and you smile, delighted that academic uncertainty lives in tea-house chatter too. Night drops quietly. Stars stitch silver across indigo cloth. You tie headband, adjust clappers at belt, and step toward the tower for another climb. Cedar rungs greet familiar souls. Moon greets watchful eyes. Lantern raised. You settle into the hut, weight sinking onto cushion like a sigh into moss. You set the bronze bell swinging, its voice deep as twilight. Rooftops ripple with response. Hush, hush, hush. You cast gaze over wards. Bathhouse steam now ghost-like, herb street lamps dim, canal water reflecting Orion's belt. In pocket, new rice cracker crumbs jostle the raven ladder pebble, forming a crunchy rung toward tomorrow. You touch headband, snug but kinder than last night. First joke surfaces, if tassels fail, at least clapper slap will wake you. But you're awake now, senses tuned. The city sleeps in layers. Snoring merchants, dreaming children, even whispering moss on corral walls. You inhale cedar, river hint, distant blossom perfume. Exhale through parted lips, releasing leftover daylight. Tower rocks minutely, built-in lullaby. You rest hands on railing, palms meeting cool grain polished by decades of guardians. A temple drum marks the new hour. You lift rope, ring bell once, soft but sure. Echo drifts, slips between tiles, finds futons, strokes eyelashes. Edo exhales in unison again, and somewhere a tucked infant relaxes tiny fists, hearing safety sung in bronze. You return to cushion, lantern casting halo that will shrink toward wicked dawn. Head tilts, not sleeping, only absorbing. Above, stars keep watch over watchmen, constellations aligning like invisible ladders to echo your duty. Night stretches, gentle as silk, and you ride its slow wave, ready to steer dreams from flame, ready to cradle hush until sun trades shadows for fresh sighs. Night ambles on, thick as ink, and you sit cross-legged in the Hinomiagura hut, tracing lazy circles on the lid of your shuttered lantern. The tower rocks with a wind that smells of river mud and distant charcoal, almost enough to lull you into that half-dream head bob. You yank yourself back by rolling the raven's ladder pebble across your palm. Its faint ridges feel like a mini massage chair for focus. Still, drowsiness prowls. You reach for the tassel trick, but remember you left your spare tassel drying after yesterday's perspiration disaster. Joke one tugs a grin. If tassels deter sleep, maybe 2 rice cracker crumbs in each nostril would work even better, though historians would probably file that under questionable methodology. A faint hiss, like silk sliding over lacquer, pricks your ears. You lean outward. Below, somewhere beyond the Kara roofs, a wisp of orange curls against the black. No bigger than a dragonfly, but flame is flame. Instinct thrums. You snatch the skyrocket from its crate, notch it in the railing groove, strike the flint and whoosh. Fiery arrow leaps, painting a glowing arc before bursting with a green flare that showers hush green sparks across the night. Lantern shutters clap open all over the ward. Within breaths, clappers crack, bells toll, and hikesure footfalls pound the lanes. Mainstream historical fact steps onto the scene. Edo's neighborhoods kept designated bucket relays, citizens trained to form instant water chains, one of the earliest organized civil defense models in urban history. You watch from above as silhouettes form a darting centipede, buckets flashing moonlight as they pass from well to doorway. Your duty now is to guide. You ring the bell twice, tower code signaling, small blaze, western block, join but stay calm. That last part never works. Adrenaline always turns calm into brisk, ballet-like chaos. You scramble down the ladder, boots skimming rungs. Street air greets you wet and cool, peppery with burning pine. At ground level you spot the culprit. A charcoal brazier kicked during a neighbor's midnight snack, noodles strike again, embers chewing at a bamboo fence. You and 3 mates slam buckets against the spark, steam roaring like angry tea kettles. Fence finder arrives. Yes, the ram. Bells jangling frantic syncopation, apparently volunteering as 4-legged siren. Joke 2 surfaces. You're pretty sure Ram Bell wasn't in the official equipment list, but you'd approve funding. Flames hiss out, leaving only blackened bamboo and embarrassed snack maker bowing repeatedly. You pat his shoulder, remind him charcoal likes to wander when bored. Quirky tidbit drifts up from memory. Some Edo households purportedly placed tiny ceramic tanuki figurines near braziers, believing the mischievous critters would distract stray sparks. Historians still argue whether these figurines reduced accidents or merely gave insurance adjusters something cute to blame. Cleanup begins. Water soaks alley stones. Steam fogs spectacles of the rookie watchman you mentored earlier. He thanks you, voice trembling between relief and leftover terror. You clap his shoulder. Tell him to breathe like a bell swing. Slow back, quick strike, slow back. He nods, files it under wisdom, possibly also under quirky sleep deterrence. With crisis smothered, you shepherd the bucket brigade back to wells for refill. Dawn's first robin note edges through the darkness, and sky ink thins to iron gray. Lanterns wink shut, shutters slide open. The night's hush dissolves into domestic rustle. Captain Kuma performs final inspection, noting minimal damage and exemplary teamwork. He jokes the ram deserves an honorary happy coat. Fence finder bleats agreement, cocking head so tassel bell glints heroic. Shift officially ends, but your adrenaline tap remains half open. You wander toward the canal to breathe mist and let pulse settle. Moon takes a last dip behind tiled ridges, making way for a shy apricot glow. You lean on railings, counting koi dimly visible beneath the water's opaque skin. They swirl like living ink, rewriting the story of the near-miss into sleepy ripples. Returning to the watch barack, you peel damp jacket, hang it beside helmets lined like dozing ravens. Muscles complain, a tug in the right shoulder from bucket heft. You mix a poultice of grated ginger and sake, slap it on. Heat blooms, pain ebbs to comfortable throb. Joke 3 bubbles. If ginger fixes shoulders and rice cracker nostrils fix drowsiness, you're halfway toward a cookbook called Culinary First Aid for Sleepy Firekeepers. You drop onto tatami, eyes grit with ash and fatigue. Yet mind still hums, replaying rocket launch, bucket chain, ram siren. You exhale long, sinking until spine meets straw mat. Soft croaks of waking frogs seep through shutters. Someone taps a kettle 3 rooms away. The day brigade will soon rouse. For now, you've earned a pocket-sized dream. Lids hover, but a familiar scent coaxes them back open. Lavender sachet nestled by moss pillow, mingling with faint charcoal and morning miso. You tug blanket up to chin. Let heart settle into magma tempo you've synced with for nights now. Thoughts thin like pre-dawn mist. The fire's glow in memory fades to a harmless ember. Then dust, then nothing but warmth. Edo exhales, you mirror, and the tower behind you creaks one approving sigh before shifting into daylight guardian mode. Somewhere, children chase yesterday's lanterns now patched for daylight play. Scholars note rocket trajectory angles on bamboo slats, and the snack maker pledges a week of raw cucumber dinners. You drift at edge of consciousness, tethered by soft bell echoes and faint turtle carved into the post, promising resilience. Sleep reclines beside you, a non-flammable futon of shadows and cedar, and finally you surrender, letting dreams pat your back with cool, ash-free hands. Dreams tiptoe off the tatami when a woodpecker hammers a brisk reveille somewhere beyond the baroque eaves. A percussion solo so enthusiastic you half expect it to invoice the guild for overtime. You roll to one side, ginger poultice now a crinkled pancake, and blink at filtered daylight spilling through bamboo blinds. Muscles register last night's bucket ballet, but in that pleasantly sore way that says you're still made of serviceable sinew. Fence finder ambles past the doorway, bells offering a mellow good morning, hero motif and an extra sway of the embergold tassel for flair. Joke one yawns with you. Perhaps the ram intends to start a motivational podcast the second someone invents audio scrolls. You freshen up at the corner basin, cool well water biting skin awake, and not a clean indigo headband. This one threaded with a tiny lavender stripe that smells faintly of your sachet. Outside, the tower stands serene, its cedar posts already warming in the early sun. You tap the railing in greeting, as though thanking it for not dropping you during last night's adrenaline episode. Mainstream historical fact strolls in bearing breakfast. Edo's watch guilds often ran small kitchen gardens beside their barracks so fresh greens could temper smoky throats. You stoop, snip 2 shiso leaves from the tidy plot, roll them around rice, and crunch into peppermint freshness that tells lungs, you survived, hydrate and carry on. Captain Kuma beckons everyone to morning briefing under the maple whose branches now blush early autumn. He announces a neighborhood festival 2 nights hence. Lantern flotillas, puppet shows, and naturally more braziers than a metalworkers' convention. Fire risk skyrockets, so towers must run overlapping shifts. You mentally pencil extra naps between patrols. The captain introduces today's task: oiling the tower's rope lashings. Rainy season nibble is imminent, and hemp shrinks when soaked, turning flexible poles into rigid troublemakers. Quirky tidbit surfaces. Some watchmen swore adding crushed sardine oil to the blend repelled termites. Historians still argue whether it worked or simply fed every stray cat in a 5-block radius. You gather supplies, jars of sesame oil, handful of mugwort sprigs for aroma masking, and a wad of cloth rags that shed more lint than a gossip circle. Up the ladder you climb, feeling each rung like déjà vu but in daylight optimism. From the hut roof you lean out, hands gliding oil along hemp knots while mugwort smell floats green and earthy, politely nudging yesterday's charcoal from nostrils. Below, merchants set up stalls, painting price boards with quick strokes. One hawker debates whether hero noodles sells better than safety udon. Joke 2 winks. You'd order either so long as noodles arrive flame-free. Halfway through oiling, you pause to stretch calves and admire a distant plume of morning incense curling above a shrine. That curled thread reminds you of the skyrocket's green flare, still haunting your retinas like an emerald ghost. You wonder if the rookie replayed the sight in his dreams. You'll check later. Maybe gift him the Raven's latest ladder pebble as a miniature medal of valor. Speaking of the Raven, you spy it perched on a temple finial, ribbon sash fluttering pirate flag fashion. It appears to be surveying rooftops for untied tassels or unattended breakfast buns. Hard to distinguish avian motives. Rope maintenance finished, you descend and join afternoon drill, pulling practice roofs with the long fire hooks. Volunteers prop a stack of old bamboo mats atop scaffolds to mimic eaves. You plant feet, drive iron claw in, and yank. Mats swoop down like startled birds. Clouds of dust explode, and skinny rookie sneezes so violently his headband flies off, landing atop Captain Kuma's bun. Laughter roars. Joke 3 soars. Even the stern captain chuckles, handing the headband back with a comment about wind-powered promotions. After drill, bucket brigade rechecks water posts. You lift a lid, find tiny fish darting inside, someone's homegrown mosquito control. You trail finger through cool surface, fish twirling like commas around punctuation. Lid closing, you step toward the canal district when a neighbor waves you over. She holds a scorched bamboo fence board, the one you doused last night, and offers sweet potato cakes as thanks. You accept, cheeks warming at the gesture. Crumbly warmth melts on tongue, sugar caramel crackling. You tuck one cake into your sleeve pocket for later, maybe to bribe the Raven into an aerial safety inspection. Mid-afternoon heat drapes the lanes in gauzy haze. You retreat to the shade of the Storystone Plaza where children trace runes with chalk, turning each groove into bright rainbow ribbons. One girl explains their color-coding tales. Green for funny, red for brave, blue for sleepy. She assigns your bucket ballet episode a striped pattern. Red bravery with green comedic sprinkles. You grin, promise to live up to the chart as shadows lengthen. A traveling acrobat troupe arrives, scouting festival setup. They test lantern rigging on ropes between rooftops, calling for watchmen to verify clearance. You ascend a merchant's balcony, checking distance between lantern oil cups and the nearest thatch. Clear if wind stays polite. You advise adding water buckets beneath each lantern string. Acrobats agree, juggling ceramic pails like show props before setting them down. Balance and safety, a perfect duet. Evening slips golden over clay tiles. Communal dinner steams in great iron cauldrons. Tonight, miso hot pot studded with daikon and mushrooms. You ladle a bowl, stir until steam tattoos your cheeks, and join a table where the rookie recounts his rocket memory. Eyes wide, words tumbling fast. You listen, nodding, then slide the Raven pebble across. He cups it, speechless, as though you handed him a captured star. Night readies its quilt. You prep for shift. Fresh oil and lantern, clappers tested, new silk tassel clipped to headband, courtesy of the neighbor who sews festival banners. She claimed lavender dye wards off dozing. You decide science can wait, you'll trust textile magic. Up the ladder once more, body settling into familiar rhythm, each step sealed with sesame mugwort fragrance. Lantern hung, you scan rooftops. Festival lights already glide along the canal in rehearsal. Paper boats glowing warm apricot. Wind hushes, respectful tonight. You ring the bell gently, once, to remind the ward that watchful eyes remain between them and wandering sparks. Echo returns, softer than moonlight, scattering onto sleeping dogs and pots of festival stew. Minutes drift like lantern boats as you track shadows. A moth flutters near flame, wings painting fleeting silhouettes on cedar walls. You tip lantern glass outward, giving moth safe berth. In distance, temple bell tolls. You echo its note on bronze rope. Somewhere a lullaby commences, perhaps the moss pillow standards inspiring new parents to hum about softness and safety. Your limbs relax without slackening vigilance. Head tilts back, gazing at a slice of night sky between eve lines. Stars prick bright pinholes. You align them mentally into ladder shape, homage to Raven Pebble. Historians still argue whether ancient sky watchers used constellations to time city curfews. Either way, the glitter tells you midnight approaches. You jot mental log. Rope oiled, hooks tested, lantern lines cleared, bucket fish thriving, rookie star pebble bestowed. Not a bad ledger for one rotation. You breathe slow, 4 counts in, 6 out, matching magma hum far below. Cedar hut creaks, tower rocks, lullaby spin cycles through sinew and soul. Somewhere beneath, festival cooks extinguish rehearsal braziers, acrobats coil ropes, and the neighbor's fence board awaits tomorrow's repair. For now, Edo sleeps. Fire shrinks to safe hearth kisses, and you guard the kiss goodnight. Lantern halo resting across your shoulders like a shawl woven from quiet. Clouds glide, tassel brushes brow, rice cracker nostril trick unnecessary tonight, though you keep it archived beside moss pillow lore just in case. The hour changes, you tug rope, bell murmurs. Another ripple of safety glides across rooftops. You settle deeper into cushion, already hearing dawn's faint footsteps rehearsing another peaceful entrance. And you wait, gentle, steady, patient. A single bead of vigilance strung on the necklace of Edo's endless night. Moonlight tilts westward, painting roof tiles with the faintest pewter edge, and you rotate your shoulders, coaxing stiffness into a discreet crackle that no one but the cedar beams can hear. The neighborhood below snoozes as peacefully as a cat melted across a warm stove. Yet you know relaxation is a fair-weather friend. Sure enough, somewhere far beyond the Sumita's dark ribbon, thunder rolls, low, distant, like a giant clearing its throat before reciting bad haiku. A breeze slides down the alley, cooler than before, and with it arrives the smell of ozone mixed with festival mochi batter, a surprisingly hopeful cologne. Joke 1 flaps by. Nothing says calm before the storm, like rice cakes and impending lightning. Your lantern glow seems suddenly timid, so you ratchet the wick a notch. Mainstream historical fact knocks politely. In Edo, lightning strikes were the second greatest urban foe after open flame. A single bolt could travel down wooden pagodas and splinter entire blocks, which is why watchmen doubled as weather spotters, tallying cloud shapes like accountants' audit receipts. You raise a palm above the railing, wind quickens, fluttering the lavender-dyed tassel against your cheek. A gentle reminder from your neighbor's sewing needle to stay awake. Below, the rookie, newly minted pebble metal glimmering at his belt, meanders into the lane for his first solo patrol. He's rehearsing clapper cadence under his breath, fumbling half a beat, then catching up, much like your own early stumbles. You whistle the correct rhythm. He looks up, flashes a sheepish grin, adjusts, and continues. You clock that proud parent tingle even though you're barely 5 years older. Clouds scud faster, smeared charcoal against a lamp-black sky. Time to ready the storm kit. 3 skyrockets, waterproof hood woven from oiled mulberry paper, and a lacquered lightning ledger tucked inside the cedar chest. You flip the diary open, inked diagrams of cloud formations, each page annotated by predecessors. A quirky tidbit leaps off the margin. One legendary watchman claimed he could predict strikes by holding a live eel. If it wriggled counterclockwise, lightning was imminent. Historians still argue whether the poor eel was a meteorological instrument or a convenient excuse for fresh sushi on overtime. You log tonight's conditions. Anvil head clouds west, mild humidity pre-dawn. Pen scratches feel like tiny cattails rustling in marsh water. Another rumble follows, a hair louder, and faint light flickers behind the skyline, turning the horizon's rice paper silhouette translucent for a blink. You track potential strike paths. Temple Spire, Shrine Torii, your beloved tower. Good thing rope lashings are freshly oiled. Cedar loves flexibility, hates combustion. Hiss, raindrop, then another. At ground level, squat shadows unfold umbrellas painted with dancing cranes. One umbrella flips inside out, becoming an accidental festival lantern. You grin but focus. Lightning plus thatch equals crispy bedtime stories. You pull the bronze bell rope, 2 slow clangs, then a pause, storm alert. Echoes bloom from towers south and east, a chain of sleepy bronze whales calling each other to quarters. Wind gust punches your lantern. Flame jumps sideways, glass fogging with vapor. Joke 2 tumbles out. You remind the lantern that while dancers sway gracefully, the light should stick to choreography. You lower glass shield, steady glow. Your eyes dart rooflines. No sparks, just rain sculptures pooling along gutters. Sudden flash, white blade cuts sky, so blinding you see skeletons of houses for half a breath. Thunder answers like a slammed fusuma, rattling clappers at your belt. Instinct clicks. You lift rocket, spark it, aim high. Emerald comet streaks upward, signaling lightning strike sighted, hold positions. The rookie's head snaps to sky. You hear his gasp even over rain. Then, miracle or coincidence, bolt lands on the far bank, outside residential grid. You still smell scorched air, a hot iron tang curling into nostrils. Rain intensifies sheet after sheet, drumming roof tiles like taiko skin. Good. Wet city rarely burns. But complacency is arrogant, so you enact wet patrol protocol. Climb down, splash through alleys, inspect for secondary sparks. Kaboom, puddle erupts when you step. Sandals fling arcs of muddy water onto Hakama. Streets shimmer under lantern reflections. Each ripple a liquid kanji you no longer attempt to read. You check bucket lines. Full, lids off courtesy of earlier drills. A merchant's brazier steaming by front door is quickly doused by its owner, who bows like you rescued his entire inventory instead of merely nodding approval. Rain cools to mist. Clouds thin, reluctant retreating soldiers. Tower bells ring the all-safe pattern. 3 light strokes spaced by silence. You respond with your clappers. Steady, reassuring taps, letting residents crawl back beneath futons. Rookie meets you at intersection, soaked but grinning ear to ear. You clap his back. He nearly collapses but stands proud, as though bravery alone holds his spine. Back at the tower base, you stare up at cedar ribs shining wet like polished mahogany. Ladder rungs glisten. You test each with bare hand, feeling grain alive under rainfall. Up you climb, one deliberate step at a time, water trailing from sleeves. Lantern rehung inside hut. Flame flicker mirrors your own pulse, slowing again. You record final ledger note. Lightning mist ward, minimal sparks, morale good. You add a doodled eel wearing sunglasses, private joke, though future historians might call it ambiguous iconography. Wind settles. Clouds rip apart, revealing pre-dawn stars, pricked bright as grains of river sand. Mist lifts off rooftops like sheets peeled from futons, drifting into nothing. City hushes, grateful sigh echoing through bamboo gutters. You lean on railing, inhaling petrichor and faint soybean steam from early breakfast pots. The tassel on your headband, lavender hue now rain dark, tickles forehead. Surprisingly effective. Eyelids stay alert. Joke 3 suggests patenting weather-activated anti-doze where, in distance, the Story Stone Plaza glints as rainwater drains, runes gleaming cleaner than sculptor intended. As if sky performed unsolicited housekeeping, temple drum intones the rooster hour. You ring your bell gently, a willowy bronze hum sailing into calm. Somewhere across canal, kettle whistles. Festival cooks resume prep, sweet red bean aroma drifts, painting promises of upcoming lantern night. You plan tomorrow's double shift, already scripting naps between tasks. Lantern oil dips. You lower wick, letting light cradle just your logbook. Memories of storm remain. White blade, green rocket, hissing rain. They settle inside, layering like sediment in clay pot, forming strata of vigilance. You rotate shoulders, now only comfortably sore, and sigh, letting fatigue leak out toes and mingle with rainwater far below. Sky void deepens to pastel pearl. Soon sun will flash ember gold upon tower, and day brigade will relieve you. Until then, you stay posted, eyes warmed by fresh coffee-colored clouds, ears tuned to hush. The eel legend wiggles in imagination, swimming toward dawn. Historians can debate. You're content believing any creature willing to wriggle for safety deserves honorary hikeshare membership. A final breeze nudges cedar beams, but they flex, grateful for oil. Tower hums lullaby. You perch on cushion, wrap arms around knees, and watch the first sun ribbon lick rooftops, turning puddles into short-lived mirrors. Vigil complete. You prepare to descend into breakfast steam and the gentle ribbing of comrades who slept through excitement. Yet you celebrate inside. Another night guarded, another dawn delivered flame-free. You whisper thanks to your lantern, your bell, the raven, the eel, even the rambunctious thunder for sparing wooden eaves. Edo exhales, you echo, closing logbook with soft thud. Promise signed, sealed, and stored beneath lavender-scented tassel until the next moon-soaked challenge. Sunlight finally shoulder-checks the last cloud out of its lane, and bronze warmth slides down the tower to kiss your rain-damp sleeves. You descend, each rung a sigh of cedar that feels as if the ladder itself is pleased the storm passed without incident. At ground level, the rookie appears clutching 2 rice ball triangles still steaming through bamboo leaves. He offers one with both hands, eyes sparkling the way only people who slept fewer than 3 hours can sparkle. Joke 1 sprouts between bites. You suggest he market these as lightning-proof onigiri, guaranteed to prevent hunger strikes. He laughs, rice sticking to his cheek like a stray snowflake, instantly proving the label's R&D requirements still need work. Breakfast devoured, you head to the communal yard for post-storm inventory. Buckets, check, though 2 sport new dents from enthusiastic throws. Leather hose, draped over rails, water dripping slow, glinting like glass beads. Captain Kuma runs a gentle finger across a hose seam and nods. Still supple. Mainstream historical fact ambles past holding a towel. Edo's firefighters coated their leather hoses with a mixture of rapeseed oil and squid ink, darkening the material so soot stains wouldn't show, which also helped keep the leather from cracking in sudden heat bursts. You watch the captain's apprentice apply a fresh coat, the inky sheen blooming into midnight luster. Your shift technically ended, but festival prep beckons. Lantern night banners need stringing from rooftop to rooftop, and the neighborhood specifically requested watchman test each tie because, quote, you're already good at heights. You and another veteran mount a teetering scaffold beside the bathhouse. Rooftop tiles still slick. You plant get a firmly, looping twine through a bamboo pole painted with prancing carp. Wind flips the banner like a rebellious futon. You laugh, recall the earlier acrobats juggling buckets, and borrow their trick. Counterweight with a sand-filled gourd. Works like a charm. Joke 2 shouts from below. The bathhouse owner quips his carp banners will become steamed fish if they dip into the chimney again. With the first line secure, you scurry along the roof ridge, clapper handles knocking your hip rhythmically. Each knot tightened is a tiny promise. No lantern will fall. No paper flame will drift. Below, children rehearse taiko drumming on overturned wooden tubs. You feel each thump through soles and imagine the vibrations ascending like supportive applause. A quirky tidbit pops up from your mental archives. Some festival organizers believe drumming before sundown scared away fire kami lurking in chimney soot. Historians still argue whether the sound waves actually displaced hot air pockets or simply kept toddlers too busy to play with matches. Lunch hour approaches, but a merchant flags you down, concern wrinkling his brow. His upstairs storeroom still smells of burnt bamboo, though fire never reached him. He fears hidden embers. You climb the narrow stairs, floorboards crooning complaints. In the dusty loft, you spot a small smoking curl wafting from a stack of straw sandals. An ember smuggled itself under a heel. You douse it with a ladle of water from your canteen. Steam poofs like a startled ghost. You remind the merchant to air out straw after storms because trapped humidity can coax coals into slow-burn feuds. He bows repeatedly, presses a pouch of roasted chestnuts into your hands. You pocket them, emergency snacks for the inevitable 3 a.m. slump. By mid-afternoon, festival stalls line the canal in neat rows of striped awnings. You do a circuit check, making sure each has a sand bucket and distance from neighbor's brazier equals at least the length of your fire hook. One vendor insists his takoyaki pan needs the walkway. You counter with a demonstration. Place your hook horizontally. If the pan touches iron, he scoots back. Pan clangs hook, vendor scoots. Simple physics, persuasive metal. Captain Kuma directs a hose drill to impress early festival goers. Water arches skyward, glittering under sunbeams like liquid shoji paper. The rookie's aim wobbles, soaking a merchant's kimono display. Splatters shape accidental cherry blossoms across indigo fabric. The merchant forgives him, the design might sell at premium. Joke 3 blossoms alongside those waterflowers, you teasing that perhaps he's secretly a fashion designer as shadows elongate. Lanterns bob on canal water. Test launch. Paper castles decked with dye-strip runes glide, casting apricot halos on ripples. You kneel on wooden walkway, fingertips trailing cool liquid, smelling river rot and fresh sesame oil from tempura stands. A sudden reflection catches eye. The raven perched on a lantern roof, wings tucked like a stoic captain steering the fleet. It notices you, drops a sliver of bright ribbon, a piece torn from yesterday's tassel. You rescue the strip from water, wring it, and decide it'll be tonight's bookmark in the lightning ledger. Evening inches closer, but you still owe yourself a nap before the double shift. Back at Barack, you nestle onto moss pillow. Lavender stripe headband now doubles as eye mask. You breathe in, count 4 heartbeats, exhale 6. Belly full of chestnuts warms like banked ember. Outside, storytellers rehearse puppet dialogue. Muffled chuckles seep through shoji, yet you drift anyway. You wake to bells. Not alarm, just dinner gong. Sky outside glows amber. Festival crowds gathering. You stretch, roll stiff shoulders, and sling lantern plus clappers. Captain meets all watchmen at tower base for pre-festival pep talk. He reminds, ring bell every half hour. Keep one eye on fireworks stash. Watch children playing with sparklers. He finishes by pinning a small embroidered turtle badge on your jacket, acknowledgement of last night's storm vigilance. Warmth spreads in chest. The carved turtle on tower post would approve. Climb begins again, festival cheers swelling below. From hut vantage you witness thousands of lanterns launching, like orange koi swimming the night sky. Crackling fireworks hiss, but your tower stands higher than their arcs. Sparks fizzle safely away. You track braziers, note wind direction, northeast, steady but tame. A distant pop of firecracker startles pigeons. They scatter, flap through banner lines causing them to dance. Rope knots hold. Time slips syrup slow yet crisp with music. Each 30 minutes you tug bell rope. Resonance rolls across revelry, integrating into rhythm of drums, laughter, sizzling batter. Mainstream fact joins the party whispering that Edo citizens often timed festival poetry contests to these very watchtower bells, composing verses between clangs. Down below, maybe someone writes a haiku. Bell over lanterns / cedar sigh. Turtle listens / night guards dream of dawn. Your lantern oil burns low. You refill carefully, mindful of open flame in wooden hut. Rookie on ground signals all's calm. He forms circle thumb gesture the children taught him. You flash clappers in response, 2 clicks, steady. Past midnight, festival ebbs. Lantern boats cluster at Canal Bend like a soft constellation come to rest. Food stalls extinguish braziers, covering coals in sand. You spot only one stray spark drifting skyward before dying harmlessly. Quirky eel anecdote hovers again. You picture slippery meteorological assistants touring fireworks stands with safety badges. Bell tolls final note of shift. Festival over, city safe. Down the ladder you descend, legs jelly yet steady. Captain claps your shoulder, says tomorrow there will be ceremonial tea in your honor, lavender blend, obviously. Joke 4 sneaks in, allowed extra for post-festival overtime if the tea kettle catches fire, you'll retire on the spot. Barak door closes behind you. Lantern dims out. You set turtle badge beside raven ribbon on shelf where moss pillow waits. Sliding beneath blanket, muscles dissolve. Outside, towers ring one last sleepy chime. This one for themselves, guardians congratulating guardians. Your breath sinks with bronze echo. Lavender sachet murmurs good job. Stomach hums chestnut lullaby. And you drift, deeper than canal water, safe in the hush you spent all night crafting. Early dawn pokes a cautious toe over the canal, discovering festival confetti still drifting like sleepy carp scales on the water's glassy surface. You peel open one eyelid, pillow moss imprinting your cheek in a pattern suspiciously reminiscent of yesterday's turtle badge. Cedar beams hum overhead. Someone, probably the rookie, hums the bell cadence while sweeping courtyards. You sit up, joints crackling like leftover fireworks, and remember Captain Kuma's promise of ceremonial lavender tea. Joke 1 perks. Free caffeine with floral undertones. Finally, a wellness perk to this whole try not to burn down the capital contract. You step outside. The crisp air has been rinsed by pre-dawn fog, leaving streets smelling of damp paper and extinguished oil. The raven perches atop the story stone depicting the echo braid, preening feathers using your rescued ribbon as a flossing accessory. It eyes you, then drops the ribbon fragment at your feet, apparently returning rentals on time. You scoop it up, slide it into your sleeve pocket beside 2 roasted chestnuts still waiting to become midnight emergency fuel. The ceremonial tea takes place in a side garden behind the shrine. A monk ladles violet-tinged brew into porcelain bowls, steam spiraling like gentle question marks. You kneel, lift the cup, and sip. Flavor blooms. Lavender, a hint of toasted rice, maybe a ghost of sardine oil, either imagined or someone reused the wrong ladle. Mainstream historical fact whispers through the steam. Edo's firefighters often received herbal teas to soothe smoke-scorched throats. Lavender, recently introduced by Dutch traders, became a trendy add-in for its calming scent. Captain Kuma claims it also wards off gossip. You doubt that, given your ears already catching whispers about Onigiri lightning-proof boy. Post-tea duties commence. Festival debris removal. You and Rookie gather soggy lantern husks, their apricot paper bleached to faint peach after a night afloat. Bamboo ribs crack politely in your grip. Down the lane, children collect surviving lanterns, awarding most graceful drift, ribbons to unrumpled specimens. They ask you to judge correlation between lantern width and current speed. You joke that fish scale pillows might be faster due to streamlined rustle. Joke 2 lands. The children laugh, then run tests with new methodology. Next stop, tower inspection after storm and festival double whammy. You climb, yes, again, while rookie stays below documenting rope tension numbers. At the hut, you find a handful of fresh origami cranes lined along the railing, each folded from lavender-scented rice paper. Quirky tidbit flutters. Local superstition says cranes placed on watchtowers lure good weather by giving storm clouds origami envy. Historians still argue whether the crane's height or their scent actually matters. Either way, the rookies apparently turn to arts and crafts during lull periods. You pocket 1 crane for good luck, then begin structural inspection. Cedar ribs sound solid under knuckle taps. Iron nails show no rust bloom thanks to mugwort-infused oil. From this vantage, Edo looks like a freshly brushed tatami mat, each alley combed neat. Sun climbs, warming your back. You spy fishermen loading eel traps into narrow boats. The memory of eel-based meteorology wiggles into thoughts, prompting joke 3. If eel forecasts storms, maybe squid predicts market prices. 2 tentacles for rising cost, 8 for cheaper rice. Inspection complete, you descend to assist with braziers. The festival left dozens needing ash disposal. You shovel gray cinders into wooden tubs. Sprinkle water till they hiss like irritable cats. Some ashes still glow dull red. Rookie tries to poke them with bamboo. Yelps when tip catches ember. You hand him your damp shovel instead, joking bamboo likes its fiery drama. He grins, nods, writes mental note. By metal tools. Mid-morning meal arrives. Millet porridge and half-sweet egg rolls. You sit on steps, scarfing rolls while discussing with Rookie the subtle difference between bell cadence for small chimney flare and cat on fire. He argues they sound identical to novices. You suggest the cat version includes an extra impatient trill, demonstrated with clappers. Passing neighbor laughs, shouting she'll keep her tabby indoors to avoid musical confusion. Captain assigns afternoon training. Ladder scaling with full buckets to simulate narrow courtyard rescue. You brace shoulders, grab 2 sloshing pails, and race the rookie. Ladder props between 2 kara. Feet slap rungs. Cold water splashes ankles. Bucket handles dig grooves into fingers. Halfway, rookie's left bucket swings too wide, throws him off balance. You slow to let him match rhythm. Cooperation over competition. Silent code among night guardians. You both reach top, dump water into wooden basin. Breath clouds mingling like twin steam dragons. Captain nods approval, notes teamwork in ledger. Sun leans west. Temple bell tolls mid-afternoon. You slip away for tower nap. Tonight brings resumed standard shift, but fatigue from festival lingers. Inside hut, cranes watch over slumber. You set the lavender crane on moss pillow. Inhale its scent. Close eyes. Heartbeat aligns with tower sway. Microdreams whirl of turtle badges surfing waves of sesame oil, but only for 15 measured breaths. You wake to muffled chatter below. A vendor cart collapsed, chestnuts rolling across stones. You hurry down, help scoop nuts, earning refills for pocket stash. Vendor thanks you with scorched chestnut tea. Toasted aroma reminds you to check charcoal storage for dryness before the next rain. Mainstream historical fact pops up. Edo regulations required charcoal sellers to lock casks after sunset to reduce ember theft by street cooks. Fines equaled 3 days' rice ration. You make mental note to verify neighborhood compliance tonight. Evening haze drapes rooftops in lilac, perfect for spotting stray sparks. You prep lantern, clappers, bell hands feeling ready. Rookie stands at ladder base, salutes the tower like greeting a kindly elder. You ascend, lantern glow guiding. In hut, you write nightly aims in weather ledger. No thunder, mild breeze, ambition. 0 braziers over heat. Ink curves nice. Lavender crane nods, below sounds soften. Frying stalls shutting, footsteps dwindling. A quiet show. G-slide here, a stifled yawn there. The city tucks in. You scan horizon. Distant clouds gentle like fat futons. Bell rings 1 low note. Echo blankets roofs. Second note. Stray dog curls inside temple gate. Quiet wraps Edo in layers. Cedar, paper, breath. Partway through watch, faint rustle draws attention. The raven alights on railing, ribbon floss now tied around its leg like anklet. Cock's head drops a tiny polished pebble shaped like an eel. Payment? Perhaps acknowledgement that lightning diaries are incomplete without aquatic icons. You chuckle, pocket eel stone next to crane. Joke 4 sneaks, a surf and turf collection of raven gifts. Hours glide. Lantern oil dwindles but wind stays polite. You jot that in ledger. Wind behaved? Bribed by cranes? Historians of tomorrow can debate relationship between origami diplomacy and meteorology. But tonight the city benefits regardless. Final pre-dawn bell rings. The note floats, merges with first rooster crow, and Edo inhales morning without tasting smoke. You descend, legs steady despite ladder count hitting record highs. Captain greets you with nod, says a shipment of silken tassels in varied dyes arrived. Watchman allowed to choose preference. You select one in muted cedar green. Lavender headband earned honorable retirement. Barack welcomes you with moss pillow, lavender sachet, turtle badge, crane guardian, eel pebble, eclectic shrine of vigilance souvenirs. You add the ribbon, watch colors mingle. Outside, tower stands shadowed yet solid. Inside your heartbeat echoes bronze hush. You inhale, exhale. Muscles surrender to mat once more. Street vendors clatter trays, but sound muffles behind sliding door, blending into early lullaby. The city still sleeps mostly. So do you, quickly, deeply, protected by green tassel still clutched in palm like a promise. Another invitation to wake when dusk beckons for quiet watchers. Pillowed between scent of lavender and cedar, you drift off as dawn unpacks its first warm rays, readying Edo for another day with unnoticed guardians poised to greet the next quiet night. Noon sun stabs the tatami through patchwork shoji like eager chopsticks poking lunch, and you blink awake, unsure whether the floor is swaying or your dreams forgot to clock out. It's only your stomach rumbling an earthquake warning. Fence finder answers with a low bleat through the doorway, bells offering takeout jingles. Joke 1 grumbles back. You'd order bell fried rice if the ram ever opens his clearly inevitable restaurant. You shuffle outside, tugging on get a still damp from yesterday's rain. The courtyard hums. Rookies polishing helmets, senior hikesher mending hose seams, Captain Kuma lecturing on spark trajectories using chestnuts as projectile props. He throws one at a straw dummy. It bounces off, landing by your sandal. Free snack? Yes, fate insists. You pocket it. Emergency midnight nut number 3. Mainstream historical fact elbows into conversation. Edo's hikesher were famous for their flamboyant jackets. Indigo exterior, lavishly dyed heroic scenes hidden inside to be revealed after a fire was conquered. Today is laundry day, which means alley clotheslines flutter with inverted dragons, giant carp, and the occasional comedy tanuki. You help the laundry crew flip jackets to rinse soot. Water runs ink black before clearing turquoise, leaving heroic carp shimmering in the sun. Afternoon assignment arrives via bell clack code. Tower maintenance for the northern ward needs extra hands. You volunteer because towers are basically your weekend cabin now. Rookie tags along, eager to graduate from ground patrol. You both jog along canal, passing noodle vendors testing new thunder-free broth marketing. Joke 2 plops into bowl, no guarantee but free umbrellas included. The northern tower stands shorter and older than yours, cedar planks grade to driftwood. You climb inside, heart noting different rhythm. This tower groans like an elderly samurai easing into hot bath. First task, replace frayed bell rope. Rookie unties knots while you thread fresh hemp loop soaked overnight in sesame sardine oil cocktail. Quirky tidbit surfaces. Some watch crews believed braiding a single hair from every member into the rope fused collective courage. Historians still argue whether that boosted morale or gave lice front row seats to every alarm. Rope secure, you test bell. Deep resonant gong echoes across unfamiliar rooftops, startles a flock of sparrows off a persimmon tree. Ground citizens wave thanks. You bow back, unseen but content. Then rookie spots cracked lantern glass, dangerous with swirling winds. You swap in a crystal pane rushed from a nearby temple donation, its surface etched with tiny lotuses. Lantern glow will now bloom flowers onto cedar walls each night. Joke 3 imagines moths attending midnight meditation classes under new decor. With repairs done, Tower steward gifts you persimmons and a scroll of lightning records from decades prior. You skim entries. Eel prediction system retired after culinary misuse. Vindication. You copy the note into personal ledger, adding historians still argue whether eel unionized in protest. Rookie laughs, pocketing persimmons like treasure. Return trek basks in orange dusk. At canal footbridge you pause. Festival lantern husks have been cleared, water glassy, reflecting sky the color of peach skins. You lean on rail, chew a persimmon slice, sweet, tart, seeds whispering next spring's orchard dreams. Nearby, Raven lands, offering eel pebble version 2.0, this one painted with tiny silver stripes. You trade seed for stone, commerce satisfied. Supper steam curls from Barak, a pot of udon thick as hose rope, flavored with miso and leftover chestnuts. You ladle 2 bowls, pass one to Rookie, who now speaks bell code between slurps. Captain Kuma congratulates on tower repairs, slides a cloth bundle your way. A spare lavender headband sewn with cedar green turtle emblem, ideal for double shifts. Your collection of scented fabric is becoming a boutique. Night slips blue over rooftops. Your original tower's silhouette beckons like a friendly mountain. You gear up, clappers, lantern, new headband, and start the climb. This time you carry fresh skyrocket, reward for maintenance volunteering. In hut, lotus-etched lantern pane refracts your own flame into delicate petals dancing across cedar. Breath catches. You allow yourself soft smile. Fires may threaten, but beauty counterbalances. Scan routine begins. Bathhouse district, steam orderly. Kara alleys, no suspicious glow. Shrine brazier, tiny, respectful. Wind mild, rustling banner dragons into lazy stretches. You jot note, quiet as a moss pillow story. Below, Rookie tests ground patrol, clicking clappers perfectly thanks to your earlier whistle tutorial. You ring bell once. Affirmative. Sometime after second bell, sky opens with meteor shower. Faint streaks scratch velvet, silent fireworks just for you. You lean out, elbows on rail, cedar cool against forearms. A falling star arcs directly over canal, diving behind thatch like shy rocket. You half-whisper wish. Continued hush, fewer cracked ladders, maybe a sponsorship from Rice Cracker Guild. Cloud of comfort settles on shoulders. Then, soft pop. Lantern 2 streets over tilts, paper catching spark from neighbor's candle disposal. Flimsy flame flickers alive. You straighten, yank skyrocket, light fuse, launch. New comet streaks red, signaling tiny blaze, assistance welcome. Ground crew pivots, bucket chain forms like rehearsed choreography. Within heartbeats, water douses paper, flame wheezes out. You watch relief puddle onto street, reflect meteor glow. Crisis folded back into calm. Bell rings twice, ground thanks tower. You jot, meteor show until ended without extra heat. Tassel headband tickles brow in approval. Whisper posts echo distant lullaby drums. Unseen poet somewhere recites verse timed to meteor streaks. You catch phrase, stars sweep ash from heaven. You pocket imagery for Rookie's next bell code haiku assignment. Hours dissolve. Lantern flame shrinks but stays bright enough. Lotus shadows keep meditative company. Legs tingle. You shift, nursing warmth from persimmon snack still sweet at back of throat. Tower creaks, but in friendly language, with thanking you for oiling siblings earlier. Raven calls once, then roosts. Pre-dawn palette emerges. Roofs fade from ink to gray, canal ripples silver. You ring final bell, rope gliding smooth, collective hair courage working overtime. Rookie waves from alley, stretch-on combo nearly topples him into bucket. Night lessons continue. You descend, joints cooperative. Captain appears with 2 steaming bowls of lavender tea. You clink cups, sip serenity. Steam tastes like quiet bells and star-washed air. Barak welcomes worn body. Moss pillow fluffs, lavender sachet sighs. You tuck silver-striped eel pebble beside lotus lantern shard kept from repairs, shrine to vigilance expanding. Outside, first kitchen fires crackle for breakfast, but zero threat. They're chores of daylight, not yours. You slip beneath blanket, Heart sinking to magma hum, eyes closing on image of stars sweeping ash-free skies. Quiet night duty served another shift, story stone ready for tomorrow's etching. You drift, lantern petal shadows curling behind lids, guiding you down gentle canals of sleep long before sun clears the tiled horizon. Mid-morning sun flings gold coins across the courtyard, and one lands square on your eyelid, so blinking becomes non-negotiable. You surface from dreams of lotus lantern petals drifting like sleepy fireflies, slide upright, and discover your moss pillow still wearing the origami crane as a jaunty crown. Fence finder greets you from the doorway, bells chiming a perky scale that translates, "Rise and hydrate or I'll chew your tassel." Joke one mumbles back that a motivational ram is the self-help coach you never ordered but absolutely need. You join the communal basin queue, cool well water slapping face and coaxing brain cells into functional alignment. Breakfast today is rice porridge laced with ginger and chestnut. Yes, those overtime nuts finally graduate to main course. Rookie ladles bowls, still wearing his pebble medal. He beams like a lantern boat that hasn't realized the festival ended. You clink chopsticks in a celebratory salute. While steam curls upward, mainstream historical fact scoots a chair. Edo firefighters consumed hot, easy-to-digest meals before long shifts, believing hearty warmth coated lungs against smoke. You spoon porridge, feeling the ginger burn clear last night's meteor dust from sinuses. Captain Kuma appears with a rolled parchment, Imperial Inspection Notice. Tomorrow, a Tokugawa auditor will tour towers, hoses, and record ledgers. The captain's face remains calm, but his eyebrow executes a full kabuki drama. Preparation mode ignites. First task: polish every bronze bell until it reflects enough to double as a vanity mirror for the Shogun's falcon. You and Rookie sprint to storage, grab polishing cloths, and set to rubbing the tower bell's lip. Oil-soaked rag squeaks across bronze. Your reflection wobbles, hair sticking out like cedar splinters. Joke 2 wonders if auditors deduct points for asymmetrical bedhead. While buffing, you recount last night's meteor blaze combo. Rookie transcribes details into the ledger, adding a doodle of the silver-striped eel pebble wiggling through falling stars. You remind him that official ledgers prefer fewer eels, more kanji. He amends doodle into respectable cloud shape, not much difference but compliance improved. Quirky tidbit surfaces. Some Edo auditors allegedly smelled bells to detect whether fires had been faked for overtime pay. Historians still argue whether bronze retains scent signatures or whether auditors just like dramatic sniffing. Next up, test skyrockets. You mount a fresh one in the practice clearing, angle skyward, light fuse. It bolts, bursts scarlet, then unfurls a curtain of chrysanthemums. Absolutely stunning, absolutely wrong color. Signals must follow protocol. Green for small, red for large. Rookie's cheeks flush. You reassure. Better misfire now than during inspection. You adjust powder ratio. Second rocket launches emerald perfection. Captain notes success. Scribbles in checklist. Half-day bleeds into noon. Sun bakes roof tiles. Cedar scent caramelizes. You retreat under tower shade to review the lightning ledger, ensuring columns align. Midway through, a shadow blocks light. Raven stands on railing, ribbon anklet fluttering tax collector style. It drops a tiny origami turtle folded from festival ticket stub, payment for yesterday's seed. You accept, filing it next to crane. Your shrine grows menagerie status. Joke 3 chirps that you might open a souvenir store called Raven and Ram Curios. Payment negotiable. Afternoon drill focuses on silent bucket relay for nighttime fires near sleeping infants. Buckets must pass hand to hand with minimal splash or clank. You form the anchor, rhythm slow, steady, breath matching magma heartbeat. Rookie overfills, water sloshing. Captain orders him to practice by carrying full tea kettle atop head for 10 laps. An ancient posture cure. Mainstream historical fact chimes again. Edo training emphasized balance over brute force because narrow alleys and wooden eaves demanded finesse. You coach Rookie on elbow angles, secretly clocking his laps for potential comedic blackmail. With drills complete, you inspect charcoal merchant district. Auditor loves surprise quizzes. You count sealed casks, note moisture levels. One barrel oozes tar, Sure sign of leaky seam. Merchant pleads ignorance. You demonstrate by stuffing rice straw gasket into crack and sealing with mugwort paste. Merchant offers pickled daikon as thanks. You accept. Emergency snack inventory gleams. Sun tilts west. Shadows balloon. Captain calls dress rehearsal. Tower ascent in full jackets. Hidden heroic linings displayed midway because auditors adore flair. You climb wearing indigo exterior. Halfway up, you flip hem to reveal lavender turtles battling stylized flames. Courtesy of seamstress neighbor. Rookie's lining shows a carp fountain shushing a dragon. Symbolic, if slightly theatrical. Captain laughs, says Shogunate appreciates symbolism when budgets allow. Atop tower, you light lantern, admire lotus reflections on cedar. Wind freshens from river, rustling banner dragons into yawns. You ring bell, practice note. Listen to bronze echo glide over warm evening. People below clap politely. Rehearsal doubles as community morale booster. Dinner is simple barley and miso, but kitchen adds surprise dessert. Sweet bean mochi shaped like tiny bells. You chew, bells squish, sugar rush kicks. Rookie confesses nervousness. You share breath technique same as earlier. Inhale 4, exhale 6, and add fresh lavender sachet sliver under his collar. Aromatherapy gets promotion. Night shift approaches. Captain assigns you to Southeast Tower tonight, new vantage. Keep auditors guessing. You pack essentials. Lantern, clappers, sage green tassel, origami turtle mascot for good luck, and yes, chestnuts. The Southeast Tower stands near the Pottery District. Air carries clay dust tinged with kiln smoke. Ladder rungs feel different. Slightly narrower, smooth from potter apprentices sneaking up to stargaze between firings. Lantern hung, view refreshes. Kills glow like sleepy dragon eyes, casting amber halos. You monitor rooftop vents, sparks rare but possible when glaze drips. Bell on this tower produces higher pitch, ringing like a bronze wind chime. You test once. City responds with comfortable quiet. Hours flow, punctuated by kiln workers swapping shifts. One potter waves, points to sky where faint northern lights ripple. A rare treat this far south. You blink, watch green ribbons swirl above ceramics district. Cosmic approval of glaze experiments. You jot ledger note. Aurora cameo, potential good luck omen. Historians still argue whether solar winds reduce static sparks. Ravens might weigh in. Yours circles, perhaps gauging aurora rent. Just past midnight, pottery apprentice drops a roof tile shard. Zit-clink. Your eyes track ember but none leaps. You ring single low bell note. A warning hush, apprentice bows apology. Tucks ember under wet rag. Crisis resolved before it hatches. You snack chestnut in silent toast. Later, patrol below reports stray dog nudging candle from shrine offerings. You watch from high as a gentle bucket splash ensures canine freedom. Zero flame hazard. Lotus lantern petals dance on hut walls. Origami turtle perched near ledger seems satisfied. Pre-dawn chill creeps. You wrap jacket tighter. Heroic lining whispering silk against neck. Kiln glows fade. Neighborhood sinks into lavender shade. Final bell rings soft. Rope sliding through collective hair courage. You climb down as first rooster crows, handing tower key to day watch. Back in Barak, captain presents final checklist. All boxes ticked, auditors should find nothing but gleaming bells and impeccable journals. He nods approval, dismisses crew to sleep. You glide onto tatami, moss pillow waiting, sachet fragrance soothing. Shrugging off jacket, you hang it inside out so turtle's face room, guarding dreams. Outside, towers exchange dawn greetings, bronze whispers overlapping birdsong. Edo's pulse steady. You inhale one more lavender-tinged breath, feel eyelids slide like shoji after curfew, and drift as sky blushes peach, readying city for inspection that will never glimpse the secret shrine of raven trinkets or chestnut currency, hidden behind your sleepy grin. The world tilts from peach to full-blown gold by the time Captain Kuma's shout ricochets off every roof tile. Auditor sighted. You jolt upright from your moss pillow, hair flattening into something an origami frog would envy. Joke one hops. It appears your heroic lining turtles have staged a nighttime wrestling match atop your scalp. No time for vanity. Inspection sails toward the ward like a punctual typhoon in brocade. You splash face at the basin, slip on fresh indigo jacket, and tie the cedar green tassel headband just snug enough to remind eyebrows who's boss. Outside, streets sweep themselves in real time. Merchants hide chipped pots behind immaculate ones, and children reroute their drum practice to a distant alley. Mainstream historical fact nods in Tokugawa auditors, often retired samurai on stipend, traveled the city twice a year verifying that fire defenses matched shogunal edicts, part safety measure, part subtle reminder of who holds the matchbox. You and Rookie join the welcome line near the tower base. The auditor approaches astride a palanquin-painted midnight lacquer, attendants fanning him with feather paddles that look suspiciously relaxed. He steps out, revealing a trimmed goatee and an eyebrow so sharp it could whittle cedar. He bows, you bow lower. Captain Kuma introduces you as last night's southeast guardian. The auditor's gaze flicks to your lavender crane peeking from breast pocket, then to Rookie's pebble metal. He grunts either approval or acid reflux. First station, bell inspection. Auditor produces a silk cloth, polishes the lip, and yes, gives it a theatrical sniff. Quirky tidbit materializes. Rumor claims certain officials tried to detect sake breath on bronze, theorizing drunken watchmen exhale onto the metal. Historians still argue whether this olfactory policy ever caught culprits or just imbued bells with whiffs of rice wine paranoia. Your bell passes sniff test, smelling only of sesame and a hint of lavender. Eyebrow relaxes 2 millimeters. Next stop, hose demonstration. You shoulder nozzle. Rookie mans the pump. On command, pressurized water arcs, painting rainbow through sunbeams. You pivot with measured precision, tracing a spiral that lands squarely in the practice brazier. Applause rustles. Joke 2 trickles. You consider patenting rainbow rinse for festival finale acts. Auditor asks water volume per minute. Rookie answers without stutter, earning approving grunt that vibrates neighboring shutters. Ledger time. You present neat columns. Rocket colors, bucket counts, lightning ledger including eel anecdote footnote, now eel-shaped cloud. Auditor's eyebrow dons skeptical tilt. You clarify eel note as oral lore, not official metric. He scribbles, muttering, historians may revisit. Their open scholarly debate phrase delivered courtesy of authority figure himself. Ledger stamped, he slides it back. Climactic ordeal, tower ascent. Auditor insists on climbing to hut to examine view lines. Captain Kuma's brow beads sweat. This ladder is a friend only to those who respect its quirks. You offer to lead, auditor accepts, tugging silk hem into belt for mobility. Each rung creaks but holds. Halfway he pauses, eyes sweeping rooftops. Wind lifts headband tassel, tickling your ear. You resist giggle. Dignity's tightrope Diane hut. Lantern with lotus panes glows. Auditor scrutinizes glass, tracing etchings with gloved fingertip. He remarks lotus art could distract watchmen. Joke 3 warms tongue but stays inside. You don't mention lotus also distracts moths from flame. Instead, you demonstrate shutter slide and show fresh oil vial labeled with date. Satisfied, he turns to skyline. Clouds harmless, chimneys calm. He murmurs, acceptable. Descending, he moves faster, familiarity breeding confidence. At last rung, he lands, brushes robe smooth, and bows deeper than at arrival. A victory bow rarely granted. Captain breathes again. Rookie's shoulders unclench. Auditor gifts calligraphy slip reading, vigilance blooms where bells breathe. You tuck it behind lavender crane for shrine upgrade. He departs, palanquin vanishing like charcoal smoke in morning glare. Celebration erupts. Merchants return chipped pots, children strike drums in honest volume, and Captain Kuma laughs loud enough to scare a raven feather loose. He declares half-day rest in honor of flawless review. You volunteer to man tower anyway, habit or addiction, unclear. Lunch evolves into dumpling feast courtesy of grateful bathhouse owner. Steam clouds smell of soy, ginger, and slight appreciation. You pocket 2 for midnight chestnut dumpling fusion experiment. Rookie offers to polish your skyrocket stash as thank you. You nod, note how mentorship cycle spins faster than tower weather vane. Afternoon drifts. you wander to Story Stone Plaza. Children added new chalk colors, tracing auditor palanquin like mythical beast. You crouch, outline tiny turtle badge steering palanquin. Kids giggle. Raven lands nearby, drops miniature bronze bell charm, stormy tip jar for entertaining morning show. You thank with leftover ginger peel. Late daylight stretches threads of gold through alley lattice. You test bucket lines once more because habit, then climb tower for standard watch, cedar rungs greeting salls like old tatami. Lantern halo blossoms. Lotus reflections spin slow. City breathes festival afterglow and inspection relief. A deeper hush than usual. First bell rings. Rooftops answer with content silence. Night slides velvet over embergold dusk. Knitting stars where auditors cannot follow. You reflect on morning. Sniffed bells, rainbow water arcs, silk robes on ladders. Another line for ledger. Inspection passed. Bells smell like professionalism. Below, rookie patrols confidently, clappers crisp. You smile, remembering your first nerve-tangled night. Lavender tassel nudges cheek. Reminder that vigilance evolves from frayed rope to polished ritual. You reach into pocket, stroke crane and bell charm side by side. Shrine nearly full. Maybe tomorrow you'll carve tiny shelf inside hut. Wind mild, lantern flame steady, no thunder belly rumbling. You jot ledger note. Sky calm, auditor gone. City naps. The magma heartbeat far under earth taps same mantra. You settle on cushion, knees drawn, gaze sweeping alley labyrinth. From somewhere, a shamisen tentatively picks lullaby chords. They drift upward, weave through cedar poles, wrap round bell rope like silk scarf. Edo sleeps under your watch, inspector approved. You breathe slow, let lotus shadows flicker eyelids heavy. Another shift of quiet, another ledger page ready for blank ink. You whisper thanks to cedar, bronze, leather, lavender, silent heroes of combustion prevention, and to coy eel myths that keep lightning diaries interesting. Joints relax, yet mind alert enough to kindle bell when needed. Until then, you ride tower's gentle sway, cradle of height, breath sinking with night's softened pulse. Confident your polished bell will tell true if spark dares whisper. Night folds over Edo like layers of deep blue silk, and you settle once again into the gentle sway of the Hinomiya-gura. Cedar beams creaking a lullaby meant only for those patient enough to listen. Lantern light paints honey ribbons across the planks, and your fingers idly trace grooves worn smooth by generations of watchmen who whispered the same promises you keep tonight. Somewhere below, two hikeshare patrol the alleys, wooden clappers ticking a metronome rhythm that blends with the distant shush of the Sumida River. Joke one strolls by. If rhythm were melody, you'd have the city's most repetitive hit single, already on its 900th remix. You lean over the rail, inhaling pine tar from nearby roofs, damp earth from courtyard gardens, and just a pinch of incense drifting from the neighborhood Inari shrine. High on the horizon, Edo Castle cuts a dark silhouette against a star-flecked sky, supervising your shift like a silent, stone-faced supervisor who never clocks out. Mainstream historical fact glides in beside you. By 1800, the shogunate maintained more than 40 Hinomiya-gura, each no taller than the shogun's own turrets. A clever way to defend the city without bruising anyone's political ego. The lantern's wick sputters in a mischievous breeze, threatening a mid-watch blackout. You steady the glass, adjust flame to a steady amber bead, and glance at the bell rope. Braided hemp polished to silk by countless alarms. A quirky tidbit bubbles up. Some veteran lookouts carried small wooden kokeshi dolls in their sleeves, swearing the dolls absorbed ambient heat and warned them when air temperature spiked toward fire danger. Historians still argue whether wooden thermometers make sense or if lonely men simply wanted pocket-sized pals. Joke two smirks that at least the dolls never demanded a shift change. You ring a single mellow tone. Bronze resonance floats over rooftops, slips through shutter slats, and tucks itself beneath futon quilts like a gentle curfew reminder. Below, clappers answer. Tap tap pause, tap tap, all clear. You smile, shoulders uncoiling, and sink onto your cushion. The tower sways, matching the quiet roll of your breath. Minutes blur into the velvet hush until the faint pluck of a shamisen wanders up from a tea house closing for the night. Each note hangs in air, trembles, then dissolves into memory. You let eyelids drift half-mast, but the lavender tassel on your headband tickles your brow. Built-in alarm clock, courtesy of neighborhood seamstress. Joke 3 whispers gratitude. Cheaper than coffee, fewer jitters, and no surprise bathroom breaks mid-ladder. Clouds slide across the moon, silvering your view. You scan. Bathhouse chimneys banked low, kiln vents dormant, festival debris fully cleared after yesterday's jamboree. A stray cat perches on a Kara roof, tail twitching. You note potential spark risk from its flicking tail against gutter soot, then remind yourself cats rarely burst into flame. Paranoia recalibrated. Beneath the rhythmic hush you notice one oddity. A faint orange blush glowing behind the apothecary's back window. You narrow eyes, could be leftover lamp or worse. You tug bell twice, hold, once. The coded phrase for verify interior flame. Hikes your speed down the lane, shadows stretching like black ink strokes. Through the tower's hatch you watch them knock. A bleary apothecary appears, brandishing mortar. Turns out he forgot to snuff a drying brazier under medicinal herbs. Water sloshes, steam sighs, crisis exhaled. You log incident. Herbal oversight, bucket remedy, no damage. Wind shifts, cooler now, carrying distant temple drums announcing the hour of the tiger. You shiver lightly. Cedar absorbs your chill and creaks in solidarity. You draw jacket tighter, feeling the embroidered turtles press reassuringly against spine. Memory of yesterday's auditor victory. Another mainstream fact drifts through mind. Night watch jackets doubled as makeshift parachutes when watchmen leapt from roofs onto neighboring eaves during a blaze. The billowing fabric slowed descent just enough for heroic landings. Your turtles would approve of such athletic theatrics, though you hope never to test the theory. The lantern wanes again, oil thinning. You refill, careful not to spill on tower floorboards. Cedar loves stories, but not oil stains. Flames steady, shadows retreat. You glance at ledger, add quiet breeze, no sparks. In margins, you sketch the raven's latest origami turtle, wings flapping as if ready to bail you out should wit fail. Clouds finally roll aside, revealing Orion straddling Edo like a guardian archer. You trace stars, mapping them into a ladder shape, private constellation linking tower to infinite hush above. Breath slows, heartbeat aligning to distant magma throb. Your third bell of the night rings soft. Echoes fade, replaced by nothing but the faint stroke of time itself as violet dawn tints east. Clappers below switch cadence. Shift change signal. You stretch, joints popping like small fireworks that forgot the festival ended. Before descent, you tug the bell one last time. Thanks and goodbye in resonant bronze. It rolls across roofs, kisses dawn, kisses sleepers, kisses you. Ladder rungs accept weight. Do slick but familiar. At bottom, Rookie greets you with steaming barley tea laced with hint of ginger. You swap stories. Herbal mishap, shamisen lullaby, Kokeshi superstition. He shares rumor that ill weather forecasts may return. New apprentice loves fish. Historians will surely keep arguing. You step into baroque dimness, slide door, and exhale. Moss pillow waits beneath lavender sachet. Origami crane and turtle perch like twin wardens. You tuck head, feel cool straw through cloth, and smile. Edo lies safe below, dawn painting every wooden eave in fresh gold. Your promise kept, your watch complete. You surrender to sleep's velvet hush without fear of fire or auditors. Only dreams that smell faintly of pine tar, tea steam, and doll-sized luck charms riding lotus petal lanterns toward another quiet night. Late afternoon sunlight sneaks through the baroque shutters, sketches diagonal bars across your moss pillow, and politely taps your eyelids until they give up the fight. You surface from a dream where turtle-embroidered jackets actually sprouted flippers and paddled you across a canal of lavender tea. Waking reality, thankfully, smells only of cedar floorboards and barley steam drifting in from the kitchen. Fence finder noses the sliding door, bells chiming a mellow waltz that clearly translates. Naps over, guardian, cities still combustible. Joke 1 rubs its eyes right alongside you, muttering that dream fairies should really offer return tickets. You roll off the tatami, stretch until vertebrae applaud in crackly applause, and shuffle toward the courtyard. Captain Kuma is already lecturing under the maple tree, the red tips of its leaves whispering that autumn has RSVP'd. He gestures toward a stack of brand-new cedar buckets reinforced with iron bands. Gifts from a prosperous sake brewer thrilled his storehouse survived the recent storm. Mainstream historical fact ambles into the shade. Wealthy Edo merchants often donated upgraded firefighting equipment to improve their karma, and, coincidentally, their insurance odds, earning bragging rights carved into bucket handles. Your fingertips trace the brewer's seal, a stylized rice stalk curling into the kanji for fortune, polished so smooth it reflects your raised eyebrow. Task of the hour. Season the buckets. They need linseed soaking so staves won't shrink when they first meet a real flame. You and Rookie lug them to the canal where koi glitter beneath glassy water. You submerge each bucket, hold it until cedar fibers sigh and drink. The Rookie counts aloud, losing track somewhere around bucket 14. You tease that if he can't outcount a fish he'll end up cleaning eel tanks. Joke 2 splashes. He retorts that eels are excellent meteorologists. You concede, reminding him historians still argue whether eel wiggle forecasts outperform temple barometers. Buckets soaking, you both sprawl on the canal's wooden walkway, bamboo sandals dangling above ripples. You crack open one of last night's dumplings, chestnut filling fragrant with sweet soy. Rookie wonders aloud if a dumpling diet could fireproof the digestive tract. You invent a theory that ginger lavender infusion lining the stomach forms an anti-combustion glaze. A claim dumber than fish scale pillows but twice as marketable. The raven, perched on a mooring pole, cause agreement, then drops an oblong pebble shaped like a dumpling for your growing souvenir shrine. Captain Kuma calls next drill. Hook leap. You line up on a low kara roof, grasping the long iron-tipped pole. Objective, vault from one eave to another, hook biting timber for leverage. It's parkour for pyro prevention. First run, your foot slips. Turtles on heroic lining definitely flex flippers again, but cedar holds. Rookie follows, arms windmilling, lands solid. Captain nods, scribbles performance scores on bamboo slate, marking you 9/10 for style, 11/10 for recovery. Quirky tidbit pops up. Some Edo thrill-seekers attended fires just to watch hikeshare perform these leaps, treating disaster like primetime entertainment. Historians still argue whether the practice boosted citizen vigilance or just increased pickpocket profits among distracted crowds. After drills, you inspect the South Warehouse District. Potters will clay in open sheds, kiln chimneys puffing lazy charcoal wisps. You remind them festival ash buckets must stay within arm's reach. One potter shows you a new glaze, a pearly lavender that matches your headband. He offers a ceramic bead molded into a tiny bell. You accept, mentally noting shrine shelf expansion plans. Sun lowers, tinting clouds apricot. Dinner prep begins. Hot simmered saba fish with miso glaze, accompanied by pickled plum. You volunteer to fetch additional water, strolling alleyways that glow warm from fresh lanterns. As you pass the Inari shrine, the priest beckons, gifting you a rice paper amulet painted with crimson foxtails. Protection against wandering embers and late invoices. Joke 3 bows. If charred paperwork is your greatest threat, the ward is blessed. Back at Barak, you help stir miso. Steam curls, carrying whispers of roasted chestnut memories. Rookie wonders if auditors ever surprise inspect dinner quality. You claim your turtles would wrestle any critic who insults chef's miso. Everyone laughs, camaraderie layering like lacquer on cedar. Night slides in quiet as falling ash. You tug on jacket, affix new amulet near pebble metals, and ascend tower again. Third ladder date today, relationship getting serious. Lantern with lotus pane already winks hello. Petals dancing on walls. You set dumpling pebble beside origami turtle, crane, eel stone, and miniature bell. Tiny pantheon of nocturnal luck brimming so full you may need a second shelf soon. Wind mild. You scan rooftops. Bathhouse steam fragrant with yuzu drifts. Kiln district calm. No incense haze beyond shrine. Bell rope hums underhand. Fresh hemp floss from sake brewer slides smooth. You ring once, savoring new acoustic undertone. A faint metallic sweetness, maybe iron bands resonating sympathy in buckets below. Hours stretch, Moon ascends like a silver coin tossed into dusky fountain. You jot ledger notes. Bucket seasoned, hook drill success. Lavender glaze potential hazard for wallet. A temple drum announces hour of the dog. Below, clappers reply. You breathe, eyelids droop. Tassel bumps brow. Duty nudge. You smile, adjust posture. Cloud forms gather west, soft, innocent. You watch, ready. They edge past rooftops, dissolve. Moonlight spills across tiles, turning city into silent origami landscape. You imagine auditor's eyebrow floating somewhere, approving. Captain wanders below, checking hoses, nodding at tower. You exchange thumbs-up gesture, an imported Dutch sign no one else understands but you two. Just before dawn, kiln workers relight furnaces, but you watch glow, steady, contained. You ring bell final time this shift, bronze purr sliding under first sparrow chirps. Ladder descent greets ankles with friendly ache. Rookie meets you with mug of barley tea. You clink mugs, share grin that says, another night chalked under safe column. Back inside, you arrange new bell bead and fox amulet on shrine shelf, pat moss pillow, inhale lavender sachet, stretch spine. Outside, city yawns. Merchants pull shutters. Temple bell welcomes sun. You lie down, turtles curling around dreams, dumpling pebble anchoring peace. Breath flows slow, matched to magma drum. You drift, storyteller of rooftops, guardian of hush, drowsy curator of raven-delivered curios. Morning light tiptoes in but promises not to disturb, knowing your next leap waits at twilight's edge, where lavender cranes, eel stones, and cedar ladders weave new chapters atop a city still made entirely of wood and trust in quiet watchers like you. You re-enter consciousness to the rolling cadence of rain on cedar shingles, each droplet a fingertip tapping. Hey, there's a sky leak you should probably know about. A cool, petrichor perfume creeps through the shoji, mingling with lavender sachet and whatever leftover miso your stomach insists it can still smell. Fence finder pokes his head inside, bells chiming a mellow drip-drip duet with the weather, as if auditioning for the official Thunder backup band. Joke one yawns from your pillow. Apparently the Ram learned percussion overnight. Somebody get him a record deal before dawn curfew. You sit, stretch, and discover yesterday's new bell bead indentation stamped on your cheek, faint but dignified, proof you literally sleep with your achievements. Outside, the Baroque veranda glistens. Puddles mirror upside-down hero jackets hanging to dry. Captain Kuma's voice booms past the maple, announcing that today's rain drill moves ahead. No excuses. Mainstream historical fact pops its umbrella. Edo hikesure practiced in downpours because fire loves irony. Lightning strikes often followed rain bands, sparking wet roofs that steamed before igniting. You slip on a fresh indigo coat, lavender tassel now paired with foxtail amulet, and step into a world painted in 50 shades of slick. First order. Rope tension audit. Wet hemp stretches like a cat after napping on heated stones. So you and Rookie climb tower in drizzle, checking each knot's attitude. Drops slide off lotus pane, scattering miniature rainbows across cedar floor. You grin, weatherproof stained glass is basically a private prism show. Rookie tightens knots while you anchor ladder ties. One rung squeaks louder than usual. You mark it for replacement before it files a workplace grievance on the ground. Captain divides crew into two teams for bucket relays. East side versus west, loser scrubs charcoal flues. You anchor east. Rain plinks bucket rims, water weight doubling each sprint. Mud grabs get a sols. You slip once, but turtles on lining flex imaginary flippers, righting your balance. East wins by a single splash. West team groans theatrically while brandishing scrub brushes like defeated swords. Joke two bows. At least cleaning flues guarantees they'll keep warm inside while you change soggy socks. Duty rotates to hose inspection. Leather turns slick, but squid ink coating proves its worth. Beads rolling like mercury. You pump. Rookie holds nozzle. Water jets skyward, merges with rain, creating artificial monsoon that douses Captain's hat. He shakes like a drenched bear, raises an eyebrow, then laughs big enough to scare the drizzle sideways. Quirky tidbit surfaces. Some Edo observers believed laughter during drills pleased the hearth kami. lowering odds of real fires. Historians still argue whether mirth mitigated risk or merely cured morale. You decide empirical evidence favors a good chuckle. Late morning. Rain slackens to mist. The maple's crimson tips now glisten like lacquered fans. Captain announces a special delivery. Kite frames donated by a kabuki troupe who want lantern kites for tonight's drizzle-friendly sky dance. Trouble is, damp air plus floating flames equals potential oh no moment. You and Rookie volunteer to develop Safe Kite Protocol. You set up under the shrine eaves, crafting bamboo ribs reinforced with thin copper wires meant to conduct any rogue spark harmlessly groundward via silk tails dipped in river water. Joke 3 flutters. If the plan fails, you'll rebrand as the first aerial sushi stand. Rice balls meet dramatic descent SU rig tails. The Raven lands on gutter edge, cocking head like a curious stage director. It drops a sliver of bright copper, apparently quality control approval. You weave the token into the lead kite's tail for luck. The priest watches, nodding, confides that foxtail amulet plus raven copper makes a spiritually balanced circuit. You're not sure electrical engineers would concur, but you thank him and note future ledger line. Noon bell. Tinny today thanks to humidity signals meal. Kitchen steams barley noodles in ginger broth. You slurp alongside Rookie under eaves. Rain percussion overhead soft as drum brushes. You debate whether eel pebble forecasts say drizzle will clear by dusk. Rookie claims silver stripes predict tapering showers. You shrug, referencing open scholarly debate phrase. Historians still argue whether pebble coloration or fish intuition controls weather prophecy. You both laugh, letting steam fog your tassels. Afternoon task. Replace that squeaky rung. You carve fresh cedar step, sand until palms glide, then lash with new hemp. Lantern shards of lotus glass scatter dapples of light on your work. Your personal stained glass workshop. Once set, you climb, bounce test, nod. Rung purrs approval. Ledger receives new entry. Rung replaced. No further squeal potential. Rain dwindles to scattered drops by twilight. Time for kite test. You and Rookie, assisted by 2 juniors, carry lantern kites to canal dock. Paper skins painted with snow-white carp whose tails fade into lavender twilight gradients. Lantern cups hold single oil wicks trimmed low. Wind mild, perfect. You release first kite. Copper-weighted tail drags, catches. Kite climbs like cautious phoenix. Lantern glows, reflecting on wet roof tiles far below. Crowd gathers, murmurs delight. You monitor tail moisture level. Still damp, safe. Second kite follows, raven circling approval overhead. Mainstream historical fact tiptoes in. Edo's kite festival sometimes ended in fiery tangles because dueling teams used glass-coated strings to cut rivals mid-air. Sparks and shredded paper rained on thatch. Your copper-grounded design aims to rewrite history in favor of uncharred bedtime. Kites drift majestic, flame steady. Copper tails eventually kiss canal water, dissipating residual heat. Success. Captain claps, children cheer, merchants see potential marketing for drizzle nights. Night descends properly. Cloud blanket breaks, stars wink through. You climb tower for shift, lantern bright, lotus reflections calm. Kites still aloft. Flames now tiny saffron dots journeying toward constellations like paper prayers. You ring single bell, hush returns. Ledger entry. Kite safety protocol validated. Raven copper token credited. Tassel headband pats brow. Not sleepy yet. You unwrap last dumpling. Savor sweet chestnut. Note caramel undertone merging with lavender. Hours glide. Somewhere a fox yips. Maybe shrine spirit inspecting copper-tailed success. You rejoice privately. Grateful watch duty can include kite engineering. You review bucket seasoning. They sit ready, iron bands gleaming even in star silver. Rainwater drips from eaves in leisurely tempo. You match breathing to drops. City sleeps. Fire sprites apparently charmed by copper and laughter. Pre-dawn blush lifts east horizon. You ring final bell. Bronze hums sliding into birdsong. Ladder descent feels lighter after squeak removal. Rookie greets you with grin. Announces eel pebble predicted rainfall end. Bonus data for weather ledger. You chuckle. Hand him copper sliver from kite tail as trophy. He beams, shrine token collection beginning. Barak waits with dry bedding. You place origami kite wing, snipped souvenir, beside bell beads and fox amulet. Collection overflows. Shrine shelf upgrade required. Moss pillow cradles head. Lavender sachet hushes senses. Beyond shoji, last drops fall from maple, each a lullaby punctuation. You close eyes, muscles loosening like sails after storm, and drift into sleep where turtle-lined jackets indeed sprout flippers, this time ferrying you across copper-tinted clouds toward another hush-lined night on the tower. Late morning sunlight curls through the Barak slats and lands on your eyelids like a nosy neighbor checking whether you've overslept. You blink, discover the origami kite wing resting on your chest, and remember copper-tailed success with the pleasant ache of a story already begging for encore. A waft of yuzu soap drifts in. Someone scrubbing last night's drizzle from helmets. Fence finder ambles by. Bells clinking a jaunty scale that means, rise or I'll redecorate your shrine with breakfast hay. Joke one stretches beside you. Apparently a RAM interior designer phase is the natural sequel to percussion stardom. Outside, Captain Kuma's baritone booms. Today's drill involves a Dutch-imported fire pump newly arrived at the harbor, and the shogunate wants local crews to test its brass entrails before approving bulk order. Mainstream historical fact tips its hat. By the late 1700s, Edo experimented with hand-pumped Surin engines, copied from Dutch schematics smuggled through Dejima, hoping stronger jets could outpace Thatch infernos. You and Rookie receive marching orders, escort the contraption upriver, assemble on canal bank, and see if the foreign beast speaks cedar-scented Japanese. You trudge toward the harbor, get a clacking over damp boards. The pump awaits on a cart, brass cylinders polished to mirror turtles on your jacket, wooden handles shining like festival drums. Dockworkers gossip that the machine can shoot water 2 rooftops high, but also eats manpower like rice. Quirky tidbit surfaces. Rumor says the first pump demonstration in Nagasaki blasted a merchant's toupee into the bay, cueing immediate wig market boom. Historians still argue whether that incident boosted sales or stalled them out of sheer embarrassment. You and 5 Hikeshire haul the pump to the canal while spoke squealing. Rookie volunteers for nozzle duty, big confidence for a pebble-wearing meteorologist. You prime intake hose in river, feel suction tug like a carp testing hook. On captain's signal, 20 arms crank handles. Brass pistons groan, pressure builds. Rookie braces, water erupts in a roaring column. Straight across canal, smacking a laundry line and baptizing an alley of drying futon. Disgruntled housewives shriek, joke 2 cannonballs. Congratulations, you've invented the first Edo high-pressure washing service. You angle nozzle skyward, jet arcs, lands on tiled roof, water sluicing harmlessly down gutters. Success, captain's eyes gleam, laundry line victims still planning mutiny. Next phase, mobility test. You push the pump along narrow alley, maneuvering corners where barrels and lantern posts clutter like puzzle pieces. Handles scrape walls, leaving damp brush marks. You note adjustments needed, thinner axles, protective bamboo pads, and scribble in small notebook. Captain mutters that shogunate loves your footnotes. Maybe promotion to technical scribe with chestnut benefits. You pretend to object, Chestnut 3 already plotting its future inside sleeve pocket. By noon the crew breaks for rice and pickled radish. You squat under eaves, chopsticks pinballing between bowl and stomach. Rookie wonders whether Dutch sailors used eel barometers on their ships. You answer that historians still argue whether eels survive saltwater forecasting, but you'd invest in an eel captain's hat if proven. Laughter spills into street, mixing with pump's gentle ticking as it cools. Afternoon assignment. Integrate tower bell cadence with pump signal so ground teams know when the brass dragon roars. Back at your familiar tower, you climb, yes, again. Lantern unlit for daylight. You pull bell rope, bronze note sails. Crew on canal blasts a quick jet, confirming sound reach. 2 more combos and timing locks. 1 bell, 1 blast equals water ready. 2 bells, long blast equals pump moving. 3 bells means clean up, hide your laundry. Joke 3 causes your grin to slip when captain suggests adding 4 bells for watchman buys sake round. Strictly theoretical, of course. Descending ladder, you catch the raven perched on the new rung you installed. It pecks cedar, testing craftsmanship, then flutters down, dropping what looks like a tiny brass gear. Souvenir scavenged from pump crate. You accept, realizing shrine shelf may soon collapse under avian generosity. You advise Raven to consider weight limits. It caused something that probably translates to build stronger shelves. Late afternoon drizzle drifts in, polite compared to yesterday's deluge. You escort pump back to storage shed, covering brass with oiled canvas. Captain logs performance and sends glowing report to magistrate, though he omits laundry line baptism details, labeling them unintended collateral cleanliness. Paper sealed, he releases crew until nightfall. You stroll alleyways checking charcoal casks again, habit counts. The Inari priest thanks you for foxtail amulet success. No embers wandered. He presents a pouch of roasted sesame seeds for night nibbling inspiration. You bow, thinking chestnut sesame fusion may revolutionize midnight snack portfolio. Evening swells amber. Bathhouse steam carries notes of citrus and frankincense. Rookie invites you to test bell signal harmony from riverbank. You agree. Lanterns ignite along canal. Reflections sketch golden calligraphy on water. You ring tower bell once. Pump crew responds with short hush-tone jet. Sound echoes like distant applause ribbons. Satisfied, you let city slip into twilight hush. Dinner is miso hot pot again. Now with surprise tofu shapes in miniature tower silhouettes carved by artistic neighbors as thanks for safe kite night. You pull a tofu tower from broth, admire accuracy. Windows, ladder notches, even tiny bell bump. You bite apex. Tastes like vigilance seasoned with soy. Night shift begins. You ascend tower wearing cedar green tassel, fox amulet, turtle lining, raven gear newly tied into headband, a hardware talisman. Lantern flame shivers but remains disciplined. Clouds vague, breeze mild. Rooftops dampened from earlier mist, risk low. Hours slide. At second bell, you hear distant pump crank demonstration for magistrate's night tour. Deep rhythmic thumps. Water jets arching moonlit pearls above canal before landing with applause hiss. You smile, scribble in ledger. Pump accepted. Futon district relocated laundry lines indoors. A little after midnight, clappers below switch cadence to indicate stray drunk near bathhouse staggering with lit pipe. You watch pipe glow vanish behind sliding door. Crisis fizzled. Bell remains idle. You note, human ember doused via futon. Somewhere inside you file future lecture on safe smoking distance from cedar. But historically people learn best by not setting themselves on fire twice. Moon passes zenith, stars scatter frost above. Lantern oil remains steady. Lotus pane reflects pump gear in headband. Microconstellation of vigilance. You breathe lavender breeze. Tower creaks agreeing. You whisper thanks to Dutch engineers, cedar ladders, ravens, rams, turtles, eels, etc. International coalition of hush. Pre-dawn sky paling to oyster gray nudges final bell. You tug rope gently. Bronze sings, water sleeps. Ladder descent easy, fresh rung, no squeak. Captain greets you with grin. Magistrate impressed, approves pump purchase. Celebrations set for tomorrow. Fireworks pledged but under watchman supervision, obviously. Chestnut number 3 graduates to breakfast garnish. Inside barack you add brass gear to shrine shelf, rearranging crane, turtle, eel, kite wing into harmonious tableau. Lavender sachet size approval. Moss pillow embraces head. You slide into sleep, mind buoyed by pump water arc and bell echo braiding into quiet lullaby. Edo glows safe outside, bucket seasoned, pumps polished, watchman steady. City dreaming beneath collaborative guardianship of cedar, brass, and a headband that smells faintly of victory and sesame seeds. Morning steals in with the mellow clacking of shuttles from the weaver's lane. Every loom thumping a heartbeat that says, "Big show tonight. Best not burn the stage." You wake on your moss pillow to find the raven's brass gear has rolled onto your forehead, branding you with miniature cog marks. Fence finder pops his head through the sliding door, bells chiming an aggressively perky polka that translates, "Up, champion." The fireworks crew wants a tower consult. Joke 1 squints at the ram's enthusiasm, deciding coffee clearly evolved from goat genetics. You join the courtyard muster where Captain Kuma paces beneath the maple, leaves shifting from polite red tips to full crimson brag. He announces the magistrate approved a river fireworks display big enough to dazzle the moon. That means every watchtower must coordinate bell signals with fuse timings, because a single mistimed launch could send flaming chrysanthemums straight into somebody's laundry loft. Mainstream historical fact raises its hand. During mid-Edo summers, shogunal festivals fired off hundreds of shells from barges, and fire brigades lined the banks with bamboo ladders and soaked tatami to snuff falling embers before they tattled to thatch. First assignment: calibrate your tower bell's pitch with the new Dutch pump whistle the canal crew will use for cue calls. You sprint to the riverbank, meeting a burly pipe fitter who toots the brass whistle, shrill as a rooster discovering jazz. You climb the tower ladder, ring bell once. The two notes clash like mismatched shamisen strings. You adjust strike force, trying softer. Rookie below signals mismatch again. Finally, you tilt the bell slightly, and gong resonates half a tone higher, harmonizing with whistle into a surprisingly jazzy duet. Joke 2 concedes you've invented Edo bebop 2 centuries early. Next, Captain tasks you with verifying launch barges' spark shields. You step onto the first barge, wood deck creaking like an old man telling river jokes. Fireworks masters in soot-black kimono show you fuse lengths wrapped in oil paper. You note each fuse's timing notch, confirming matches bell count. A quirky tidbit pops up. Some pyros coat fuses with powdered green tea, claiming it burns steadier and smells better. Historians still argue whether the aroma reduced audience coughing or just made vendors sell more tea. You sniff one fuse. Yep, Sancha notes. You scribble that into your ledger for future bedtime trivia. Back ashore, merchants from Hinge District approach you about that squealing gate. They complain the plank warped again overnight. You promise afternoon fix and consider miso lubrication ahead of schedule. First, though, Bucket Brigade needs fresh water. The pump's reserve got dusty. You and Rookie haul iron-banded buckets to the well. Wind whips your lavender tassel across your face like an offended cat tail. Joke 3 suggests it's reminding you that scented fabric outranks sweat fragrance in every social hierarchy. Buckets filled, you sneak a quick lunch. Barley rice with sesame seed drizzle from the priest's pouch, plus chestnut number 3 at last liberated from sleeve prison. Rookie crunches Yuzurice triangle, wonders whether fireworks noise might disturb eel weather forecasters. You decide to relocate Eel Pebble Shrine to quieter shelf just to be safe. Afternoon clouds gather but look more like gossip than storm. You grab carpenters, head to West Gate. Hinge squeaks again, high enough to make pottery crack. You smear warm miso between pins, then rotate plank. Squeak becomes a low purr. Cats appear, licking hinge residue. Unexpected maintenance crew. Captain raised eyebrow later will either condone or condemn, but at least the gate swings. You hang tiny bamboo ladle of water near hinge to rinse excess paste, because Miso Cat Alliance could escalate to midnight yowling. With gate tamed, you inspect fireworks cart path. Alleys cleared, water buckets staged, textile awnings soaked. One silk merchant begs to keep awning dry for clientele prestige. You reply prestige will combust nicely, so awning gets doused. Merchant sulks but offers plum sweets as truce. You accept, snack stash reborn. Sun leans low, crews tether barges mid-river. You climb tower for dusk shift, lantern pre-lit with lotus pane now glowing rosy violet. Bell rope still perfectly pitched. You test a single note, listened by wind and returning gull. Below, fireworks master lights a test shell. It blooms teal chrysanthemum. Embers fall but extinguish mid-air, good omen. You check kiln district, vents closed. Bathhouse steam low. Shrine fox statues seem to grin beneath fading light, their tails flicking silent good lucks. Just before twilight, Captain ascends halfway to deliver 2 copper-wired paper fans. Signal extras, he winks. You tuck one behind belt, planning to use for wind measurement and maybe stylish ventilation. Lantern flame steadies. Tassel boops brow. City holds collective breath as first official bell whistle duet resonates. Your jazz debut. Fuse sputters. Rocket zooms. Sky erupts in gold. Crowd ooze. Canal mirrors doubles. A second rocket bursts into lavender bloom shaped oddly like your pillow medallion turtles. You accept cosmic compliment. Embers drift. Coppertail kites swoop overhead carrying mini water pouches, dripping safety drizzle like benevolent clouds. You ring bell again. Pump whistle responds. Next barrage launches crimson fans followed by silver willow arcs. Wind freshens. You unfold copper fan, hold it. Breeze moderate but shifting east. You log. Wind pivot east. Adjust launch angle. Fireworks crew notes bell code and tweaks tubes. Mainstream fact reminds you firework masters use triangular bamboo flags to gauge wind. But fans work just as well and coordinate with your ensemble. Half show passed uneventful when sudden pop announces misfired shell rolling deck toward fuse pile. You yank bell thrice, emergency note. Crew leaps, douses shell with hemp cloth soaked in tea-infused water. Steam hisses, incident neutralized. Crowd oblivious, thinks it planned. You jot ledger. Tea water 1, panic 0. Night deepens ink blue. Finale shells thunder. 3 dragons of shimmering gold chase each other before dissolving into jade sparks. Embers drift but fall into canal, sizzling harmlessly. You exhale long and low. Bell rings final all clear at captain's nod. Whistles silence. City erupts in applause. Lantern boats relight, drifting celebratory circuits. You descend ladder, calves jelly but satisfied. Merchants present you cloth bundle. 3 miso hinge cookies shaped like bells. You bite one. Sweet savory delight affirming miso's multi-tool status. Rookie high-fives you, modern imported gesture, and claims eel pebble pattern predicted safe skies again. You salute eel stone, already picturing ledger footnote. Back at Baroque, shrine shelf legitimately sags. You transfer items into cedar box newly built by appreciative carpenter. Crane, turtle badge, eel stones, kite wing, bell beads, copper gear, fox amulet, hinge chip, miso cookie, half. Lavender sachet sits royal atop. You slide box under futon like treasure chest. Moss pillow welcomes head. Bells echo faint from distance as other towers declare their calm. Breath deepens. Ginger sesame yuzu orchestra plays on palette. You drift into dreams where miso hinges swing seamlessly and fireworks paint stories without sparking laundry riots. City slumbers, protected by tower jazz, copper fans, and a guardian whose tassel now rests. Mission humming softly behind eyelids, as dawn prepares fresh pages for another night's quiet script. Somewhere between a sparrow's second chirp and the kettle's first hiss, a raspy clang scrapes the quiet out of morning. The brass hinges on the storehouse district's west gate have finally surrendered to rust. You blink awake on your moss pillow, unsure if the racket burst from a dream or reality, until fence finder's bells answer with a disgruntled, "We're up now, thanks." Joke one yawns, nothing like industrial strength alarm clocks to remind you why earplugs haven't been invented. You roll off the tatami, swipe the origami turtle from your cheek, and tug on a jacket that still smells faintly of squid ink hose polish. Stepping outside, you catch the cause of the commotion. Carpenters struggling to lift a warped cedar plank, its iron nails squealing like angry cicadas. Captain Kuma waves you over, beard bristling at dawn. He grunts. Hinge job threatens to jam the only wagon route big enough for tonight's fireworks delivery, meaning if the gate sticks, sparks will parade through pedestrian alleys. Not ideal for wooden cities. Mainstream historical fact slips in with a mug of barley tea. Edo city planners mandated wide fire lanes every several blocks, routes purposely straight and gate-controlled to shuttle emergency carts, or in this case, pyrotechnic munitions, without knocking over street stalls. Yours is one such lane, and its gate must swing better than a tea house door on payday. You, rookie, and a pair of carpenters attack the hinges with fish oil lubricant, gingerly prying rust scales that fall like red snow. The plank finally drops. You catch it on your shoulder, turtle lining flexing heroic. Rookie wedges a fresh pin carved from oak. The gate groans, then swings smooth as a shamisen slide. Applause ripples from merchants who'd been practicing curses under their breath. Quirky tidbit spins. Some Edo residents rubbed miso into hinges as makeshift grease, claiming soy enzymes feasted on corrosion. Historians still argue whether that worked or just made stray cats lick the hardware clean. You suggest to carpenters that miso hinge snacks might attract cats, but at least they're fireproof. Joke 2 lands, accompanied by a chorus of meows from alley shadows as if cats heard the menu. With lane cleared, you escort fireworks wagon. 2 oxen plodding, barrels stamped with hanabi, handle like sleeping tigers. Smoke blacksmiths bow greetings, grateful for smooth passage. You station 2 rookies as torch shadow escorts to stomp any spark drift. Copper-tailed kites from yesterday still dangle in the workshop. You plan to tether mini buckets beneath them tonight, emergency water balloons in the sky. Lunch occurs earlier than stomach expects. Rice triangles stuffed with yuzu and sesame, courtesy of the Grateful Hinge district. You and Rookie squat by the canal, coy-nosing for crumbs. Rookie reports eel pebble forecasting clear weather. Silver stripes glint hopeful. You mock salute the pebble, scribbling meteorology department signs off in pocket notebook. Afternoon training is an indoor affair. Drizzle returns, soft as temple bells. Inside a kara, you practice silent ladder deployment, lowering sectional bamboo without knocking pottery. Captain times you. Any clack earns push-ups. You pass, but Rookie clinks once. Push-ups commence. Joke 3 encourages him. Maybe each push-up adds a chestnut to future snack budget. He groans but grins. Rain lifts. Twilight settles in lavender hues. Fireworks crew readies fuses. You oversee bucket stations, double-checking each signaled by bell code. Lanterns blossom along canal, reflected blossoms wavering like waterborne galaxies. You climb tower, again, and light lotus lantern pane, its petals now tinted sunset rose. Bell rope hums beneath palm. You test one note, deep as last night's hush. The first rocket whooshes skyward, bursts into cascading chrysanthemums of gold. Crowd gasps. That gasp flutters up to tower, brushing your ears like unfolding fans. You scan rooftops, no stray sparks yet. A second rocket paints crimson peonies. Ember petals drift but fizzle midair. You exhale, fingers tight on railing. Mainstream fact returns. Edo's pyrotechnicians pioneered Waramono shells, bursts that split into symmetrical flowers, requiring precise timing fuse wrapped in washi. Miscalculation meant flame rain. Your team stocked buckets accordingly. Halfway through show, Gus sneaks off river, shoves rocket trajectory sideways. A violet star cluster veers, embers brushing near kara thatch. You yank bell rope twice, hold, then once. Bucket squad west. Ground crew hustles, douses rooftop with practice splash. Damp plume hisses, roof merely steams. Crowd cheers, thinking it part of spectacle. You note ledger. Firework drift. Response 8 heartbeats. Quirky superstition reappears. Some fireworks masters hid tiny charms and shells. Paper cranes, rice grains with prayers, to appease fire spirits. Historians still argue whether such offerings improved safety or just littered clouds with ephemera. You choose to believe tonight's charms worked overtime, redirecting errant sparks towards safe steam. Final salvo erupts. Silver willow cascading into silence. Crowd applauds. Clappers below signal show end. You ring bell thrice. All clear. Lanterns douse. Canal blooms fold into night. Descending ladder. You feel satisfaction settle like warm miso in bones. Captain greets you, offers clay sake cup. Just a sip for ceremony. You taste earthy rice warmth. Savor city's intact skyline. Rookie appears, chestnut snacks in pouch, announcing hinges still swing smooth after stress test. Good, gate drama closed. Back at Barack, you add miso-flavored rust chip, souvenir from hinge repair, to shrine shelf, space now critical. You promise shrine a proper cabinet soon. Lavender sachet awaits, pillow fluffed, bell bead indentation pre-reserved for cheek. Rain returns in featherlight drizzle, tapping roof with lullaby cadence. You lie down, jacket open so turtle heroes peek, proud of save thatch and swing-ready gates. Breath slows to magma heartbeat, chestnut sweet lingering on tongue. Outside, raven caws soft lull, maybe guarding shrine overflow. You drift, rocket blossoms painting dream sky, bell hum echoing comfort, ready for whatever wooden mysteries dawn decides to toss your way next. Rain-cleansed sunlight hovers just long enough for your eyelids to admit defeat, and you push upright, feeling as though cedar beams have stitched themselves into your spine overnight. The baroque smells of damp tatami, lavender sachet, and yesterday's miso hinge cookies someone reheated for breakfast. Fence finder stands in the doorway chewing hay with the self-satisfaction of a ram who believes he single-hoofedly kept the fireworks safe. His bells tinkle an overconfident flourish that translates, "Hero reporting for duty. Where's my medal?" Joke 1 salutes him with a mock bow. You promise a carrot citation later if he stops drooling on the floorboards. Captain Kuma calls the morning briefing beneath the maple now blazing crimson like a bonfire you actually encourage. He announces today's mission. Escort a convoy of kiln workers hauling fresh roof tiles to replace storm-damaged thatch on the shrine district. Unspoken subtext. Shiny new tiles resist sparks far better than dried bamboo shingles. And the shrine priests finally scraped together enough coins to hire proper hikesure protection. Mainstream historical fact strolls into the circle. After major fires, Edo's guilds organized tile drives, pushing ceramic instead of thatch to high-risk blocks, one terracotta step toward urban fireproofing. You heft your toolkit, clappers, lantern, foxtail amulet, and the new cedar-oiled rope you hope never to need as parachute. The tile convoy trundles out mid-morning. 2 ox carts stacked with slate-blue shingles that glitter whenever sun peeks through shredded rain clouds. You and Rookie march flanking positions, clappers tucked but ready. Passing merchants applaud the upgrade. One hands you complimentary salted plum, saying, "Better in stomach than on roof." Joke 2 notes you're becoming a roaming pantry. But hey, preparedness tastes good. Halfway to Shrine Hill, trouble waddles in. A group of neighborhood kids drag a makeshift sled loaded with smoldering charcoal, planning an impromptu street-side yakitori stand. The entrepreneurial spirit blazing literally. You halt the convoy, confiscate fire, and lecture on the vigorous spark radius of chicken fat. The children counter with a quirky tidbit they heard from an uncle. Tossing sake on coals calms flame. Historians still argue whether that advice originated from a grilling accident or early beverage marketing. But you demonstrate real science by dousing embers in bucket water. Sizzle, steam, lesson complete. You compensate with your salted plum stash. Entrepreneurial spirits pacified, charcoal ambition postponed. Convoy climbs Shrine Hill, wheels grinding gravel. Atop, priests greet you, sleeves fluttering like parchment banners. They unveil the damaged roofs. Giant patchwork of soot-black thatch, holes big enough for cats to practice night swimming. Tile crew unloads crates, hammering commences, and shards of old roofing tumble down chutes. You patrol perimeter, eyes tracking sparks flying from occasional chisel strike. Lantern stays unlit, the sun works for free, but you keep it close. Clouds around Mount Fuji look as if they're rehearsing Rain sequel. Mid-afternoon. Rookie shouts, "Cracked oil jar!" A mason's lunch pot tipped inside the attic, sesame oil soaking straw. You sprint up ladder, smell nutty slickness threatening open flame. You order a sand dump, Rookie slides pale, and you shovel grainy blanket over the slick. Crisis smothered. Joke 3 thanks Sesame for tasting better than smelling like impending doom. Tiles laid, priests present you with ceremonial rice cakes pressed into turtle shapes. Apparently your jacket lining's legends spread faster than gossip. You accept, adding to ever-growing shrine box menu. Captain Radio's bell code for mission accomplished via distant clang. 2 short, 1 long. You mirror with clappers, sound echoing through shrine pines. Back in town, clouds finally make good on threats. Drizzle darkens cedar once more. You jog toward tower shift, get a slapping whetstones. Lantern lit, lotus pane refracts raindrops into dancing prisms. You climb, each rung familiar as heartbeat. Hut welcomes with cedar warmth, crane and turtle mascots nodding in candle glow. Rain thickens into steady curtain, silvering rooftops. You scan bathhouse, steam lost in rain. Kiln vents closed. Shrine Hill glints with new tiles, water sheeting off safely. You pause, savoring small triumph. Mainstream fact whispers. Edo measured safety not by absent fire but by nights when small sparks never found a home. Tonight feels that way, every ember evicted. Hours drift under rain percussion. Lantern flame steady. Lotus shadows ripple. You jot ledger. Tiles installed. Sesame spill contained. Miso cat's absent. Raven arrives soaked, feathers spiked. It drops a jade green shard from broken tile. Payment 2.0. You towel the bird with sleeve. It bobs head, departs. You add shard to cedar box. Shrine shelf now a geology lesson. Wind shifts, carrying faint thunder rumble. Far but present. You ready skyrocket just in case. Rain intensifies. Gutters gurgle. Lightning flickers, single flash beyond distant rice paddies. You log direction, count heartbeats. Thunder 9 breaths later. Safe distance. Still, you ring bell once, caution note. Ground crew stirs, bucket checks resume. Quirky superstition surfaces. Some watchmen tied eel skin around lantern handles to ward lightning, claiming electric ancestors fear cannibal decor. Historians still argue whether that trick works or if eels simply slithered away laughing. You tap eel pebble in box, figure stone variant suffices. Storm skirt city, merely donating extra rinse cycle. Rain eases into mist. Hour drums announce ox hour. Lantern oil low, you refill, patting cedar floor if spill risk. Bell remains still. No flames dare challenge soaked rooftops. You brew barley ginger tea in hut corner, steam fogging lotus glass. Sip soothes throat, warms bones damp from earlier hill duty. You note new turtle cake still in pocket but decide to save for sunrise sweet. Dawn creeps in pale peach. Rain stops, leaving rooftops glazed like pottery. You ring final bell. Sound rolls smooth. Gate hinge miso evidently contagious to acoustics. Ladder descent quiet, dew slick but safe. Rookie meets you, eyes shining. Tile roofs gleam behind him. He boasts eel pebble predicted storm dodge by counting jade flecks. Future thesis perhaps. Barack welcomes you. Cedar box shrine stuffed near capacity. You nest turtle rice cake next to jade shard. Promise shelf expansion tomorrow. Moss pillow still warm. Lavender sachet restful. Outside, maple drips final raindrops. Bells hush. City exhales after watery rehearsal. You lie down, jacket open, heroes on lining curling into restful pose. Breath slows, matching cool morning drizzle memory. You drift into dreams where tile roofs dance. Miso hinges sing baritone, and eel barometers host weather symposiums moderated by ravens. Edo snoozes under new ceramic armor, confident its quiet watcher will climb again when the sky hunts sparks. But for now, you sail deeper into hush, sheltered by cedar beams and soft lap of post-storm silence. Sleep ends the instant the earth shrugs beneath you. Just one quick shrug and done tremor, enough to rattle teakettle lids and remind the entire city it also sits on a tectonic landlord with questionable manners. You bolt upright, moss pillow clinging to your cheek like a startled gecko, while fence finder's bells jangle a panicked flamenco. Joke one blurts out that you never signed up for surprise massage beds. But here we are, quaking toward breakfast and the courtyard Captain Kuma already barks roll call. Maple leaves shimmying crimson applause above his head. He announces the obvious. Small quake. No visible damage, but check every ladder, rope, and bell pin before sundown. Mainstream historical fact flicks open a scroll. After the 1703 Jinroku earthquake, Edo's fire guilds added quake drills to their repertoire because what's worse than flame? Flame on rocking rooftops. You salute, grab tool satchel, and follow the inspection team. First stop, the beloved Hinomiyagura. You brace a ladder, ascend, and find the new rung you installed singing a faint creak duet with the beam. You tighten lashings, drip extra sardine sesame oil, and the creak subsides into satisfied purr. From this higher perch you spot a cracked chimney cap on the bathhouse. Slate chips dangle like crooked teeth. You jot note for the masonry squad. Climbing down, you nearly collide with the visiting Dutch engineer, a wiry fellow named Van Dyke, who waves a brass gadget like an excited heron. He declares it a seismometer, basically a suspended lead sphere that scratches wiggly lines on soot-covered paper. Quirky tidbit emerges. Rumor claims the Shogun's garden carp can sense quakes hours early by backflipping. Van Dyke wants data to outdo the fish. Historians still argue whether carp gymnastics beat imported gadgets, but the engineer insists you mount his device inside the tower for comparative purposes. You oblige, hanging it beside the raven's shrine box. Sphere swings once, scribbles a shy squiggle, then rests. Mid-morning, the tile convoy returns with surplus shingles, requesting storage in the Kara. You and Rookie help stack them, mindful not to jar shelves of lamp oil. The innkeeper next door insists on demonstrating his new earthquake-resistant shelving, built from woven bamboo and humility. You nod. File this under maybe works, maybe falls quietly. Steam whistles from the community kettle, signaling break. You settle on the veranda with barley tea laced with yuzu peel. Rookie crunches turtle-shaped rice cakes, pronouncing them aftershock snacks. You share a glance up at the tower where the seismometer remains motionless. Good sign. Captain barks again. Afternoon drill, quakefire combo. Objective: lower a casualty dummy from rooftop via hook ladder while balancing swaying ground. You volunteer as topside anchor. Up you go, hooking iron claw into ridge beam. The dummy, stuffed straw in festival robe, gets strapped to crude stretcher. Rookie below steadies ladder. You lower, rope humming through gloves, legs compensating for imaginary jiggle. Dummy touches down with only minor straw spillage. Captain claps, notes your balance good enough for circus. Joke 2 whispers you might trademark shaky shimmy rescue services. Shade creeps across alley. Drizzle from yesterday evaporates, leaving cedar fragrant. You pop by Westgate hinge, still miso slick and cat approved. Feline maintenance crew lounges satisfied. Inside merchant storeroom you install 2 new tatames soaked in alum as spark break. The merchant thanks you with citrus jelly squares that wobble like mini seismometers. They disappear into pocket for future sugar alarms. Late afternoon sky vaults into clear cobalt, and word zips through alleys. Night bonfires approved to celebrate successful quake inspection. You swallow a sigh. Bonfire means potential ember showers. Captain assigns you riverbank watch. Rookie heads to bathhouse sector. Before shift you swing past shrine, lighting incense at Fox altar. Smoke rises straight, wind calm. You drop a jade shard as offering. Priest nods knowingly, nightfall unfurls. Bonfire pits dug in 3 plazas. You climb tower, lotus lantern blooming amber. From here flames look like patient dragons rather than snarling ones. Drums beat. Dancers whirl with fans painted in autumn hues. You ring bell once, start of watch. Crowd cheers, thinking it part of rhythm. First hour peaceful until a reveler drags extra cedar beam onto fire. Sparks burst skyward. You yank bell twice quick. Crew at ground toss bucket arcs. Steam whooshes, sparks die mid-plot. You log entry. Over-enthusiastic lumber donation annulled. Meanwhile, Van Dyke's seismometer scribbles nothing. Earth likes the show. Further into night, a distant boom. Firework leftover? No, bathhouse chimney cap you flagged earlier finally tumbles, clanging onto wet alley. No flame, just noise. You notify masonry crew via clapper code. Historians will someday debate whether chimney paranoia saved the district or just kept masons flush with coin. Wind shifts. Bonfire smoke drifts toward lacquer workshop alley. You calculate trajectory, command bucket squad to pre-soak wooden shutters. They splash obediently. Lacquer fumes remain theoretical. Bell rope hums approval. Raven appears, silhouette slicing across moon, drops a tiny folded paper fish. You unfold, find skeletal grid scribble that mimics seismometer wiggle. You treasure the joke, tuck it into shrine box, realize shelf upgrade now absolutely non-negotiable. Toward dawn bonfires ebb to ember beds. Crews bury coals under sand. You ring final bell, rope sliding over palms without squeak. Van Dyke arrives breathless to retrieve gadget. Only straight lines. He shakes head, mutters that carp might keep their forecasting jobs. You shrug, offer him citrus jelly. He brightens. Ladder descent greets wobbling calves but sturdy rungs. Rookie meets you, hands over bathhouse chimney shard souvenir. You add it to cedar box, promising to sort keepsakes before they declare independence. Inside Barack, Captain praises 0 fire incidents post-quake. He gifts you a cedar token carved with kanji for steady. You wedge it on shrine shelf, now stacked like Edo's world-building Jenga. Lavender sachet expands fresh breath. Moss pillow awaits. Bells in distant towers declare sunrise hush. Toddlers giggle somewhere. Wolves of fatigue curl around ankles. You lie back, turtles on jacket exhale, jade shard cool against palm. Breath sinks into tatami, matching magma metronome. Dreams door cracks, revealing carp backflips and Raven Graph's handshake explaining tectonics to eels. Joke 3 slips inside. Maybe tomorrow the tower installs tiny jelly seismometers. If they wobble, you wobble too. Eyes close, cedar beams cradle, and all the wooden hearts in Edo, ladders, roofs, gates, align their quiet beats with yours, secure under another night where earth shifted but fires did not dare. You jerk awake when a snow-cold gust barges through the tower hatch and flicks your lotus pane lantern like it owns the place. So much for drifting into daybreak on a lavender cloud. The raven caws an unhelpful told you so from the rail, feathers sleek against a sky the color of unpolished pewter. Fence finder's bells below clatter a staccato bassline. Apparently he and the wind have started an impromptu percussion duel. Joke 1 shivers across your shoulders. Nothing like nature's alarm clock to remind you blankets are an endangered species up here. You peer east. A steel gray front rolls over the bay, slinging flurries that melt before hitting the river. Captain Kuma appears on the street, pointing his bamboo staff skyward and barking that the first winter squall is 2 hours out. Time to switch the city from drizzle protocol to chimney season lockdown. Mainstream historical fact shakes snowflakes off its sleeve. Edo's worst fires often sparked just after the first cold snap, when households loaded braziers with extra charcoal and forgot that dry cedar rafters gossip with flame. You tighten the cedar green tassel, collect your ledger, and climb down to pre-storm briefing. The to-do list scrolls longer than a merchant's credit tab. Task 1. Test the new snow buckets. Pine tar barrels ringed with rope, nets so mittened hands don't slip. You and Rookie haul them to the well. The rope nets smell like last month's miso-lubed hinges. Cats wander over, hopeful. You fill each bucket, sealing lids with waxed rice paper to keep slush from diluting readiness. Joke 2 bubbles up. You remark that fire might finally learn to swim this winter. Rookie snorts, nearly drops a bucket on his toe. Task 2. Fit straw mats around chimney stacks. You scale the bathhouse roof where steam ghosts swirl in the frost. Each exhale crystallizes into tiny beads on your lashes. You lash mats tight, checking for gaps, while Rookie below flings you fresh twine. Halfway through, you spot cracks in 2 clay flues. You mark them with indigo chalk. Inspection crew will patch them before nightfall. Down the street, merchants lay iron pot lids over outdoor braziers, following your shouted reminder like students cramming before exams. Meal break? Not today. Captain produces a fist-size onigiri stuffed with pickled daikon. Fuel, not cuisine, he growls. You wolf it down, salt stinging wind-chapped lips, energy spike warming your fingertips. Quirky tidbit arrives. One Edo folktale claims that rubbing pickled daikon juice along window frames repelled sparks. Historians still argue whether the brine worked or just left houses smelling like lunch. You eye the half-empty daikon barrel and mentally add experiment to the off-season bucket list. Task 3. River pump freeze drill. Dutch engineer Van Dyke scurries over, cheeks rosy, unveiling wooden sleeves lined with wool to slide over brass pistons. Prevents ice seize up. You attach sleeves, crank handles. The pump coughs, then jets water in a silvery arc that vaporizes in midair, crystallizing into glitter before falling as harmless frost. The crowd applauds. Joke 3 curtsies. Edo's first accidental snow machine. Van Dyke scribbles notes, muttering plans for winter festivals featuring artificial flurries. Afternoon bleeds into indigo. Clouds finally roll overhead like silent drums. Icy pellets begin to fall, rattling roof tiles. Captain calls final checks. You sprint ladder to tower, hauling an extra wool cloak. Up here, wind slices, but the view matters. Braziers flicker to life in 1,000 homes, each a potential fuse. Lantern flame steadies behind glass, casting rosy petals that look absurdly warm against the chill. Bell protocol switches. Single gong every quarter hour, faster alert cadence if you spot orange where orange doesn't belong. You ring once. Bronze note rings colder, sharper. Even wind seems to hush. Below, Rookie leads ground patrol wrapped in new straw capes, clappers muffled in mittens but still crisp. He shoots thumbs up, Dutch gesture now fully naturalized. Half an hour in, you spy a worrisome halo, smoke billowing too thick from the lacquer workshop chimney. You squint. No visible sparks, yet soot flakes drift onto a neighbor's thatch. You ring 2 quick bells plus pause, reduce draft. Ground crew darts over, slides damp cloth over chimney cap, choking draft just enough to calm plume. They shovel water on roof edges for good measure. Crisis dodged before it spelled its first syllable. Wind howls harder. Ice ticks against lotus glass, making petals shimmer like stained glass snowflakes. You huddle and cloak, jot ledger. Flu tamed, pump frostproof, cat still licking miso hinges. A pause, then an extra entry beginning historians still argue whether snow hisses or sighs when landing on warm roof tiles. Because sometimes you write questions for future librarians to puzzle over. Raven arrives, feathers spiked with sleep, drops a thumbnail scrap of wool, blue like Van Dyke's pump sleeves. You thank it, realizing Shrine Box has become a craft store. You tuck wool into crack near window frame. Draft eases. Even scavenger birds follow building codes now. Night deepens cobalt. Household charcoal pans glow but stay lidded. Wind finally tires, falling to a hush that feels earned. You ring bell, sound drifting softer through snowy air. Below, braziers wink but hold discipline. You let shoulders unclench, sip barley ginger tea saved in gourd. Warmth pools in chest, battling frostbite rumors toward dawn. Snow slackens, laying a thin white quilt over tile, thatch, and freshly installed shrine tiles that now glisten like icing. Bell rings final note. Rope cold under fingers but smooth, the cedar token for steadiness in your pocket living up to its kanji. Ladder descents slow, feet finding rungs dusted in powder. Rookie greets you with giddy grin. First snow, 0 fires. Captain hands you 2 sweet rice cakes filled with warm red bean, shaped like tiny snow buckets. You bite, steam fogging eyelashes. Back in Barack, you rearrange Shrine Box, adding blue wool scrap, Daikin-stained chalk nub, and ice-sparkled raven feather. Shelf squeaks protest. You promise to craft Tier 2 tomorrow. Lavender sachet now smells faintly of snow, tea, and victory. Moss pillow cool but welcoming. You slide under blanket, turtle lining wrapping like scaled quilt of bravery. Breath slows to magma drum, snow hush muting world outside. Dreams tiptoe closer, perhaps carp backflipping onto Dutch seismometers, or cats earning hinge medals for licking away rust. Whatever script your mind drafts, Edo sleeps safe beneath fragile snow and your dependable bell, keeping quiet night duties sparkling even under winter's first white brushstroke. A pale winter sun tiptoes over the ridgepoles, nudging fresh snow into diamond glitters, and you blink awake to a scene so bright your moss pillow seems to glow from within. A quick stretch reminds you every muscle helped chase sparks yesterday, but the ache is friendly, like a cat kneading gratitude into your shoulders. Fence finder peers through the half-open shoji, bells chiming a slow jazz shuffle that translates, snowball fight at noon, start practicing your aim. Joke 1 grins that the Rams' combat resume apparently now includes percussion, interior design, and artillery. You roll off the futon, lavender sachet puffing a cool floral breath, and notice the Shrine Box leaning at a dramatic angle. Last night's additions, blue wool scrap, Daikin chalk, ice-dusted feather, have tipped the balance. Time for that promised Tier 2. You scavenge cedar offcuts from the carpenter's pile, lash them into a narrow shelf, and slide it beneath the first, shrugging when it squeaks approval. Your menagerie relocates. Turtle badge, crane, eel stones, brass gear, kite wing, fox amulet, hinge chip, jade shard, tile shard, paper fish seismogram, and now the feather ensemble. It looks like a tiny traveling museum of things ravens dropped and fires didn't burn. You bow, curator of Hush. Outside, Captain Kuma leads a salt bucket brigade. Snow melts into slush, an ankle-twisting trap for bucket runners. You spread salt across key alley corners, watching crystals hiss on contact. Mainstream historical fact strolls by holding mittens. Edo townsfolk often mix salt and rice chaff to create less slippery paths, calling it winter sand. You swirl extra chaff for traction, and a flock of sparrows swoops in, grateful for breakfast. Apparently even birds appreciate civil engineering. Before midday you inspect the new shrine tiles, now frosted like matcha sweets. Two priests beam, proud that ceramic armor shrugged off night frost. They gift you tiny talismans, thin wooden plaques painted with red sunbursts, to ward off snow demons. You wonder if snow demons exist or if someone misread accountant's handwriting. Still, you tie one plaque to your headband tassel, figuring any spirit repellent that doubles as hat flare deserves field testing. Snowball practice breaks out spontaneously when Rookie lobs a fist-sized sphere straight at your cedar shelf prototype. You catch it midair, toss it back, and score a direct hit on his hood. Cats scatter. Laughing merchants clap. Captain shakes head but hides a grin. Joke 2 logs that team building via frozen projectiles surely qualifies as OSHA-approved culture. You surrender before paperwork appears, but heart warm. Afternoon brings a new curiosity. Van Dyke invites you to witness his steam cannon. A bamboo tube heated over brazier until boiling water propels a wooden plug skyward. His hope is to scare pigeons off thatch before they peck roof mats loose. You count down. Plug rockets with a loud pop, sails across canal, lands harmless, except it startles fence finder, who retaliates by headbutting a snowbank. Quirky tidbit muses. Early Edo inventors tested similar steam toys called pop guns in temple fairs. Historians still argue whether they inspired real fire pumps or just kept children loud and parents poorer. Late in the day, cloudless chill descends, turning slush into black ice mirrors. You and Rookie sprinkle more chaff, but one potter slips, dropping a crate of glazed cups. Fortunately, pots survive thanks to straw padding, but shards from an older crack slice a bootstrap. You help mend with spare cedar fiber. Potters thank you by handing over a miniature kiln charm. Tiny clay furnace with smiling mouth. Shrine Museum expands again. A messenger from magistrate arrives announcing surprise evening inspection of winter preparedness. You exchange looks with Rookie. Captain's eyebrow does its kabuki whip. Task list ignites anew. Polish bells free of sleet, double-check frost sleeves on Dutch pump, and ensure tower lantern wicks trimmed to resist drafts. You inhale cold air that smells like iron snow and race upstairs. Lantern flame flutters but stays noble inside lotus pane. Bell rope feels stiffer. You massage fresh sesame oil to restore flex. You strike one test gong. Note rings crisp, slicing hush like fresh washi. Ground crew below tests pump. Water arc freezes mid-fall into glitter dust. A stunning but safe effect. You scribble ledger note. Pump double as winter fireworks? Market idea? Magistrate procession arrives just after dusk. Palanquin lamps glimmering gold on white streets. Inspector, new face, velvet cap, less eyebrow drama, demands demonstration. You coordinate bell pump duet, Rookie's bucket relay across salted lane without slipping. Inspector nods, then asks about seismometer. Van Dyke shows soot paper scroll with gentle zigzags from last tremor. Inspector arches brow, impressed or dizzy. He points to your headband plaque, inquires if snow demons exist. Open scholarly debate phrase escapes politely. Historians still argue whether winter yokai roam rooftops or represent allegories for avalanching debts. Inspector chuckles, evidently fond of folklore. He stamps approval, gloved hand leaving chrysanthemum seal on captain's tablet. Procession disappears into sparkling alley. Tension unknots. Captain finally laughs out loud, declaring festival rations doubled. Sweet rice porridge tonight. You exhale, watch your breath drift upward like faint smoke that will never start trouble. Shift begins. You ascend tower under silver moon, snow glowing blue. City whispers, braziers tick, cats burrow deeper, wind hushes calligraphy across surfaces. You ring bell. Note floats like a bronze flake joining winter constellation. Lantern glows steady. New shelf of relics content mid-watch. Tiny flurries return, swirling like rice in water. You peer down. Bathhouse chimney steams softly, lacquer workshop dark, everything in order. Tea kettle in hut corner whistles. You pour ginger brew, warmth coiling through chest. Joke 3 surfaces. You toast snow demons, thanking them for staying on their side of folklore tonight. Toward dawn, wind dyes sky faint apricot. Frost crystals outline roof edges with silver borders. You ring last bell, bronze voice gilded by morning calm. Ladder descent cautious over icy rungs but steady. Rookie greets you handing warm rice porridge laced with plum syrup, reward portion indeed doubled. Steam fogs eyelashes, sweet sour comfort dissolves night fatigue. Baroque welcomes. Shrine shelf tier 2 holds charms like sleepy museum curators counting footfalls of ghosts. You place smiling kiln charm atop. Vow to add labels before memory jumbles. Lavender sachet breathes evergreen freshness. Moss pillow cool but forgiving. You lie down, jacket open, turtles cozy in crimson lining, and let eyelids droop. Outside, bells in distant towers chime gratitude, while fence finder tests low-tempo cowbell lullaby. Dream corridor opens. You walk through, escorted by snow demons who politely pay admission to your museum of raven trinkets, while eels lecture carp about market economics. You smile, asleep before the kiln charm finishes its first yawn, guarded by a city dazzling beneath its first true winter mantle. And by you, its tireless, tassel-toting sentinel ready to wake the moment snowflakes decide to misbehave. You wake to a feather-soft silence so complete it issues its own doctrine. Speak quietly or be excommunicated by the snow. A single sunbeam sneaks through a gap in the shutters and lands on the cedar shelf, where the smiley kiln charm now sports a fresh sugar crust. Apparently, the rice porridge steam crystallized overnight. Fence finder pokes his head inside, nose white with frost, bells chiming a lazy waltz that translates. Snowball practice postponed. Ammunition currently being manufactured on every surface. Joke one yawns beside you, agreeing that nature's factory outpaces any ram regiment. You slide the door aside and step into a courtyard wrapped in untouched powder, shin deep and sparkling like powdered quartz. Captain Kuma stands in the center, arms crossed, beard rimed with ice, announcing that today is white blanket drill. Objective: trailblaze new fire lanes through snowpack so bucket runners won't stumble when an ember decides to host a surprise winter barbecue. Mainstream historical fact trundles in on snowshoes. Edo firefighters kept collapsible sleds, basically bamboo stretchers, for dragging water pails across drifts when wheels refused to cooperate. You sling one such sled over your shoulder, rookie grabs the second, and you head for the narrow lanes behind the Pottery District. First challenge. The Pottery Hills slope now resembles a porcelain slide. You anchor rope around a sturdy persimmon tree and belay the sleds down like cautious mountaineers. Snow squeaks under Geta. Each step leaves crisp hieroglyphs that say, "Fire won't trip me today." Halfway down, rookie slips, sled skids, but cedar rope holds. You haul him upright, both of you laughing breath clouds into the cold. At lane bottom, you pack the snow flat, creating a runway wide enough for bucket lines. A distant clang rings. Van Dyke testing his steam cannon again, now loaded with snow pellets. One shot arcs over the river, detonating in a puff. Quirky tidbit flutters in. Some Dutch traders reportedly held snowball artillery contests on Dejima to amuse bored interpreters. Historians still argue whether that pastime helped them refine cannon trajectories or just triggered supply line requisitions for dry socks. You shake your head, note that ravens circling overhead seem to place bets in midair. After blaze path number 1 is tamped, Captain dispatches you to Shrine Row, where yesterday's ceramic tiles now bear soft meringue caps. A priest greets you with a broom fashioned from pine twigs and cinnamon sticks, scent practice or gustatory trap. He requests assistance sweeping snow-off walkways before afternoon prayer crowds arrive with slippery sandals. You oblige, cinnamon bloom perfuming the air as snowflakes leap aside. Joke 2 suggests you bottle the aroma and sell temple chai next festival. Sweeping finished, priest gifts you a tiny lacquered snow demon figurine, red face, icicle horns for museum shelf tier 2. You bow, slip the demon into inner pocket, ponder the irony of using a fire-colored imp to guard against flame. Back at the courtyard, Captain Kuma unveils afternoon surprise. A traveling troupe of yakitori vendors has applied for one-night grilling permits to comfort citizens after the quake jitters and snow confinement. Your job: Supervise grill spacing and spark management. You and Rookie set bamboo stakes in the plaza marking Safe Ember Zone, each stake bearing a foxtail amulet copy. Vendors comply, lining braziers on raised clay bricks dusted with snowmelt. Instant outdoor hearth festival, by dusk the air sizzles with soy smoke heaven. You sample a chicken skewer, research, obviously, tongue thawing from salt heat. Rookie tries to juggle 3 skewers, drops one. A stray cat pounces, victory meow echoing down alley. You draft ledger line. Cat brigade handled accidental protein spill. As twilight falls, you excuse yourself to tower duty. Snow crunches under boots. Lantern glow ahead looks like an ember stitched to the sky. Climbing ladder is tricky, rungs icy, but fresh cedar fibers still bite soles. In the hut, lotus pane lantern flickers gold against azure twilight. You unwrap snow demon charm, set it beside jade shard. Shrine box now resembles a fantastical parliament. Tassel plaque still wards off demons or maybe doubles as snowball bullseye. Function ambiguous. Bell rope stiff from frost. You massage it with warm breath, then ring one clear tone. Sound glides across white roofs, slips into eaves like a whispered bedtime story. Down in plaza, grills flare but remain polite. Vendors toss water after each batch, sending hissing plumes into night. Halfway through shift, wind shifts south, flinging powdered snow off rooftops like tossed rice. You spot the pottery slope again. One kiln keeper climbs with ash bucket steaming dangerously. You ring bell twice, pause once. Ash shift high. Ground patrol reroutes him to sled path. Crisis deflated. A half hour later, steam cannon misfires, launching wooden plug onto lacquer shop roof where it smolders. You launch skyrocket. Emerald flare signals, ember rooftop. Bucket team dashes, water arcs, steam huffs, lacquer safe. You jot ledger. Steam cannon versus lacquer 0-1. Wind eases. Sky clears to reveal stars sharp as pottery shards. Your breath hangs crystalline. Lantern wicks flutter low. You top oil, tighten shutter. Snow hush blanket city, muffling even the cat brigade. You sip barley ginger brew from gourd. Warmth ripples through chest. Lantern glow doubling warmth placebo. Bell final note rings at pre-dawn violet. You descend ladder carefully, each rung a silent snow crunch. Rookie greets you with takeaway yakitori wrapped in yuzu leaf. Taste test for morning shift. He reports 0 grill accidents, though cat demands royalties. You wave approval, nibbling skewer tips as warming sun peels icy glitter off tiles. Barack beckons. Cedar shelf groans but holds demon figurine proudly. Lavender sachet mingles with cinnamon broom memory, etching cozy aroma into bedding. You tuck skewer leftovers into chestnut jar, new snack synergy unlocked. Pillow cool but inviting. Eyelids weighted by snow math and ember vigilance. You breathe slow, magma heartbeat under city calms. Snow demons, lacquer sparks, steam cannons, all filed under handled. Dream corridor opens with cinnamon-scented doors. You step through wearing cedar snowshoes while ravens wager on cannon trajectories drawn by paper fish. You grin, safe knowing white blanket lanes carve fire-safe runways into winter's script, and you'll walk them again tonight. Quiet watcher in a city that dozes below fragile glitter and resilient rope. A pale wash of mid-morning light creeps across the Barack floorboards, drawing shivering rectangles that finally coax you from the warm cradle of moss and lavender. You sit up, brush cinnamon-flavored dreams from your hair, and notice that the cedar shelf, now 2 tiers deep, has sprouted yet another gift. The raven must have dropped a button-sized snowflake cut from tin, edges hammered so delicately it flashes like real ice. Fence finder noses the door, bells jangling a drumroll before he sneezes an impressive puff of frost. Joke one bows. Congratulations, you own the only ram who makes his own weather effects. You crunch into the courtyard, world still white and glinting. Captain Kuma waits beneath the maple, beard iced into accidental icicles, holding a coiled hemp rope twice the thickness of the bell line. He announces today's headline, the river ice drill. An early freeze has sheeted a section of canal. If a fire breaks out on the opposite bank, bucket teams will have to sprint across ice instead of rowing boats. Your job is to test load-bearing strength, mark safe paths, and install fire islands. Flat cedar planks dusted with ash so running crews see where to pivot. Mainstream historical fact skids in on snow-crusted sandals. Edo's hikeshare performed annual ice drills after the harsh winters of the 1720s, discovering that cedar planks spaced every 8 paces stopped runners from carving boot-shaped skylights into the canal. Rookie trods beside you, sled bristling with planks, rope, and a new Dutch gadget Van Dyke swears can measure ice thickness by echo pop. At canal edge, the surface gleams mirror smooth, reflecting kites, cranes, and an ominous steam cannon now wearing a wool scarf. You step onto ice, weight distributed. It creaks but holds. You and Rookie shuffle forward, dropping a plank, dusting it with charcoal ash. Every 8 steps, repeat. Behind you, fence finder tests ice with hoof taps, bells chiming a syncopated safety check. Halfway across, Van Dyke appears waving his echo popper, a hollow brass tube capped with deerskin. He smacks ice. A dull thunk resonates. Satisfied, he scribbles in notebook. Quirky tidbit slides out. Some Edo ferrymen judged ice by counting heartbeats between cracking sounds. Historians still argue whether this biorhythm method was science or bravado. You make Rookie try a heartbeat test. He claims the ice purrs like a happy cat. Good enough. With path marked, Captain orders a practice run. 10 hikeshare line up with empty buckets. At his shout they race, boots sliding but guided by plank stepping stones. You clap as all 10 reach the far bank without sampling swim season. On return trip, Captain carries a full water pail, proving ice trustworthiness. Joke 2 whispers that next festival should include bucket races with soy sauce for added drama. Lunch break features savory rice cakes shaped like little cedar planks. Thank you, imaginative confectioner. As you chew, a pottery merchant arrives short of breath. The snow demon figurine you received yesterday has become unexpectedly popular. He begs for permission to copy your charm for mass sale. You agree on one condition. Each figurine comes with a printed fire prevention rhyme. Merchant bows, scribbling notes about royalties in chestnuts. Afternoon sun arcs low. Shadowed alleys freeze slick. You inspect storehouse chimneys. Cracks you chalked now patched with frostproof mortar. A cat, maybe the same Yakitori beneficiary, trails you like a fluffy inspector general. You drop a rice cake crumb. Cat grants approval with a head bump. Next mission. Replace brittle water rope seals on fire pump. You and Rookie soak new hemp gaskets in warm sesame oil, fingers prickled by cold. Steam from nearby noodle stall carries miso aroma that teases your focus. Captain snaps you back. Time for the candle maze. The magistrate has scheduled a nighttime lantern labyrinth for New Year's Eve. If wind whips flames, maze walls, woven bamboo, could flare. You must build hidden water veins. Bamboo tubes buried beneath snow, each plugged with rice paper. Punch the paper, water floods, dousing potential flare. You sketch maze map, memorize tube intersections like secret escape routes. Evening frost paints windows with fern patterns. You pull on foxtail headband, tuck snow demon charm inside coat, and climb the tower for dusk watch. Lantern flares, lotus petals glowing as though carved from sunrise. Bell rope stiff again. You flex aching fingers, ring one crisp note, then settle, scanning ice path glimmering silver under moonbeams. Below, citizens skate, some gracefully, some like overturned turtles. You allow it. Laughter dulls fear. The first real test arrives when a skater's iron blade catches a plank edge, sparks flicking onto dry pine bough decoration. You yank bell twice, pause twice. Ember on ice. Bucket squad darts along your planks, water arcs, hiss extinguishes hazard. Crowd applauds accidental performance art. You jot ledger. Ice path validated under athletic idiocy. Wind freshens, tossing fine snow across rooftops in glitter sheets. You tug cloak, sip lukewarm ginger tea. Van Dyke's echo popper booms once, confirming post-spark thickness intact. Fence finder below stomps approval, bells muffled under ramknit ear warmers knitted by seamstress neighbor. Joke 3 contemplates potential merchandise. Near midnight you spot faint glow in lacquer shop, owner polishing trays by candle. Flame fine now, but if drowsy hands drop cloth, spark risk climbs. You ring single long bell, trim wicks. A window slides open. Owner bows, snuffs candle, chooses bed over lacquer meditation. Sky washes pale lavender as dawn approaches. Snow stops, leaving air crisp as just shaved bamboo. You ring final bell. Bronze-toned sails over frozen canal, bouncing off tiles like a slow drum roll. Ladder descent careful, ice crust on rungs. Rookie meets you with victory grin, presents steaming rice porridge flecked with salt and cinnamon. A curious but effective combo. He reports Snow Demon figurine pre-orders already 20 crates. You foresee Shrine Box needing customer service desk. Barak welcomes with cedar warmth. You place Tin Snowflake next to Lacquer Demon, noticing shelf Tier 2 already bowed. Time for architectural upgrade soon. Maybe Van Dyke can loan Dutch joinery advice. Lavender sachet size, pillow cool but forgiving. You tuck in, jacket open to release turtle heroes, and let eyelids drift. Beyond shoji, bells from neighboring tower chime sleepy chords, joined by distant echo pop pops. Testing continues even in dreams. You inhale cedar lavender cinnamon, exhale fatigue. In the dream hallway, snow demons and fox spirits co-host bucket races across mirrored canals, while ravens officiate, counting heartbeats between laughs. And through it all, you walk calm, steady, bell rope in hand, carving safe stripes through every white blanket night Edo decides to drop at your feet. You surface from sleep to the chilly realization that someone or something has stolen the morning. Gray light barely lifts off the snow, and you can already hear hammering near the canal. Fence finder confirms the urgency by rattling into the barack like a self-propelled sleigh bell, announcing in clinks and clanks. The candle maze walls arrived early, and they're trying to stand them up without you. Joke 1 rubs its temples. Apparently you take one dignified nap and the entire ward forgets how to staple bamboo together. Boots crunch through powder as you cross the courtyard. Overnight, masons have piled the maze panels in a crooked ring that looks more like a tipsy spiral than the elegant labyrinth promised to the magistrate. Captain Kuma waves you closer, beard white with sawdust. The walls must interlock, he growls, pointing to uneven joints that could trap sparks like chopsticks grip noodles. Mainstream historical fact whispers through a snow gust. Winter lantern mazes, called Yukidoro Corrals, became popular during the Kansei era, meant to guide New Year visitors safely through shrine grounds, but only if the mesh stayed tight enough to snub wayward flames. You and the rookie begin the rescue. Step 1. Realign panels so each bamboo spine overlaps, leaving no gap for a mischievous ember. Step 2. Slide water vane tubes, yesterday's rice paper plugs, under fresh snow along the new seam. When a skewer vendor volunteers hot coals for your brazier, you politely decline. The last thing you need is a live demonstration. Quirky tidbit tumbles out while you work. Legend says an Edo maze once included a hidden confidence door. Anyone who bumped it spilled a small bag of rice flour on themselves. White dust revealed sloppy walkers, making them ineligible for marriage matches that spring. Historians still argue whether the story was morality lesson or clever advertising by laundry sellers. By mid-morning the labyrinth finally resembles a respectable polygon. You test your route, timing how long it takes to weave from shrine gate to central altar. Your stride presses neat chevrons into the snow, and you note 4 potential choke points for bucket lines. Flags carved from roof tile shards mark each. Captain nods approval, scribbling your map on rice paper to teach future crews. Lunch is donated by the shrine. Warm mochi balls dipped in soy sugar syrup. You claim purely quality control sampling rights. Rookie bites into his, molten filling branding his tongue. Joke 2 warns that torch duties require taste buds, so chew cautiously. Afternoon brings the inevitable curveball. The magistrate has decreed a demonstration of live lantern flow. Hundreds of floating candles will enter the maze through a side gate, migrating along snow channels like luminous carp. Lantern crews arrive with cedar rafts just wide enough to glide atop packed powder. You calculate ember trajectory and decide to lace extra ash along the flume walls. Black stripes to absorb heat before snow surrenders. Van Dyke appears, offering a sachet of powdered alum to sprinkle for added fire retardants. You accept, impressed by his new obsession with pyrochemistry. Sun falls behind rooflines, smearing mauve across the sky. Time to climb your tower again and watch the maze hatch its first glow. Lantern wicks catch one by one, slivers of orange weaving under your vantage point like molten kanji. You ring the bell in quarter-hour rhythm. Echo pops through frosty air, guiding bucket squads to their stations. The first hiccup arrives early. A lantern raft catches on an uneven drift, tips, and leaks flaming oil onto the bamboo curb. Your bell strikes twice, pause twice. Ground crew lunges, punctures the nearby rice paper plug. Water gushes across the flare, hiss sizzle steam. Crowd gasps, applauds. Most think it was planned drama. Ledger receives a fresh line. Flare neutralized in 7 heartbeats. Good omen. Wind freshens from the north, rushing through alleys like a bored spirit. Lantern flames tilt, smoke spirals into maze corridors. You crack open the cedar shutter, letting Lotus Pane Lantern breathe easier, and signal Rookie to add sand weight to platform stones. Mainstream fact nudges. Edo watchmen sometimes scattered damp sand over glowing coals so the wind would push grit into the heat, throttling oxygen. You replicate on a micro scale with a pouch of kiln grit. Rookie dusts the corridor, and flames settle. Halfway through shift the snow squeals. A high, thin crack. Ice path on canal flexes under skaters ignoring your earlier warnings. One blade rasp sparks where iron meets hidden stone. You ring bell once, long once. Bucket crew reroutes, douses ice with slush collected in sled baskets. Skaters scatter like startled gulls, and spark fizzles out. Quirky superstition flaps past. Some elders claim ice squeals are voices of drowned carp demanding respect. You decide to add fish etiquette to tomorrow's patrol lecture. Night deepens. Aurora-like veils ripple far north, faint but mesmerizing. Lantern procession winds down, candles sputtering into soft nubs. Final guest exits maze. Priests slide cedar shutters across side gates, locking embers inside safe snow trenches. You ring bell thrice. Maze dormant. Wind dies, leaving city wrapped in hush thick enough to spread on toast. Just before dawn, ravens trade shifts. Your familiar messenger lands atop the lotus glass and drops a minuscule bamboo boat no bigger than a fingernail. Lantern raft souvenir. You grin, place it beside the demon charm. Tier 2 shelf wobbles but holds. Joke 3 wonders if carp ghosts will commandeer your new miniature fleet. First light paints the maze a dull silver. Flames gone, only black ash stripes trace last night's drama. You ring the final bell, letting bronze lull the city. Down the ladder, Rookie hands you ginger iced tea for thawing fingers. Captain congratulates the crew and hands out cedar tokens stamped Shielal, Snow Prison, symbol reserving bragging rights for taming winter flames. Back inside Barak, you reorganize shrine collection. Tin snowflake, bamboo boat, and cedar tokens slide into a new third-tier fashion from the confidence store scraps the shrine discarded. Lavender sachet now mingles with cinnamon, alum, and faint soy sugar scents. Your personal perfumery. You lie back on moss pillow, turtles warming your chest, kiln charm sugar crust crumbling in a smile. The city outside crunches under early foot traffic, but within your room the world reduces to cedar smell, pillow softness, and a single tin snowflake catching sunrise. A promise that even winter's sharpest glitter can be guided, bucket by bucket, bell by bell, into quiet safety. Dawn arrives wearing a thin sash of silver cloud, and your first thought is that the snow demon charm probably just slapped another tariff on your sleep debt. You peel off blankets, lavender sachet smacking your chin, and find the raven perched on the tower's wind vane, tapping a bronze sundial disc Van Dyke slipped you yesterday as a portable gnomon. The bird pecks exactly where the metal shows a sliver of ice, as if it's already billing you for dawn hour maintenance. Fence finder jingles outside, tassel fluffed despite the chill, bells clacking a brisk, up and calibrate. Joke 1 lands before you locate your socks, reminding you that wooden cities run on punctual bells even when their guardians run on fumes. Breakfast is a slapdash triangle of rice and leftover soy sugar syrup. Fuel, not cuisine. As you swallow, Captain Kuma strides in waving a bamboo clipboard. Last night's ice path held, but the quarter-hour bell notes drifted 9 heartbeats late thanks to frost-swollen rope. Today's mission is timekeeping calibration, synchronizing every tower bell, temple drum, and Dutch sandglass before the New Year crowds flood the shrine maze. Mainstream historical fact shuffles into the courtyard. Edo kept loose time blocks, marked by temple drums, but winter skies confused hour candles, forcing ad hoc calibrations whenever shadows lagged behind intentions. Pretty much like arguing with a sundial that overslept. Van Dyke, proud as an alchemist, unveils his newest contraption. A brass sandglass no bigger than a carrot, grains dyed with indigo so they can be read at night. He claims it loses only 2 breath beats per hour, but first it must be cross-checked against the sun. Unfortunately, there is no sun, only pewter clouds and the raven's sarcastic tapping. You improvise. Lash 3 sandglasses to a cedar plank, align them with the shrine's copper roof seam, and assign Rookie to flip them on Captain's whistle. Meanwhile, you drag a water clock, a wooden tub with a pinhole spout, into the square, because redundancy is the city's coziest blanket. Testing begins. Captain blows whistle. Rookie flips glasses. You watch grains sluice down. 10 breaths later, the raven nudges one sandglass half a hair clockwise, then hops back, polishing its wing as if erasing evidence. The drift shows instantly. Bell rings half a heartbeat early. Joke 2 squawks that even birds think they're management now. You compensate by tightening bell rope, shaving frost with a heated rice bowl rim, and, why not, offering the raven a sesame seed bribe to perch elsewhere. Data flows into a ledger. Rookie plots grain drift versus snowpecks, producing a shaky graph that looks like Fencefinder tried abstract art with his horns. Still, it proves frost slows bells, sandglasses misbehave on tilted planks, and goats remain punctual only when food arrives. Open scholarly debate phrase surfaces when a monk wandering by murmurs. Historians still argue whether Edo ever wanted precision or just conversation starters during tea breaks. Your shrug counts as peer review. Lunch. Glomos pickles and barley cakes advertised as early bird tariff, though the sun has yet to clock in. You point this out. The vendor flips his wrist sundial sideways and winks. Vertical shadow equals discount. Joke 3 soaks up pickle brine. Afternoon workshop means hauling shadow boards to key corners. Cedar slats painted with dye-color notches. When sunlight eventually leaks through clouds, a watchman presses the pocket sundial against the board. If its shadow lands on embergold stripe, bells chime noon. Sulfur sunrise notch hides behind a sake stall. No one wants to smell that dye if they don't have to. You hammer boards in, remembering your winter violet tassel should sit third from top, matching Aurora citation rules Van Dyke scribbled last week. Testing phase. Bathhouse clock shows 1 hour into the horse block. Your shadow board insists it's still rabbit. Traders argue frozen tariffs. A potter claims star time is more accurate. And a goat steals the indigo sandglass carrot, trotting off like it owns a watch shop. Fencefinder, tired of timeline bickering, trots straight through the scrum. Bells clanging the Morse code equivalent of chill. It's lunch again. The crowd laughs. Disagreement deflates like a punctured wineskin. Captain drafts an emergency clause. During full cloud cover, shrine whisper posts will relay time beats every 100 heartbeats, measured by you, the freshly minted TikTok marshal. Rookie ties a ribbon around your wrist. You tap pulses and whisper beat 1 into the stone. Partner post echoes valley-wide. Sinking kettles, bells, and presumably goats chewing at rhythmic intervals. Goat metronomes. Someone patent that. Evening sun finally peaks, just in time for an official vote on the revised schedule. Provisions pass. Cave gray skies activate whisper beats. Sandglasses must be goat-proof. Shadow boards govern tariffs only when shadows exist. The Van Dyke limited to 1 cannon pop per day to preserve sanity. Captain seals the decree by dunking his cedar token in indigo dye. It now pulses violet each heartbeat. A pocket reminder you owe the city good timing. Drummers celebrate with a syncopated beat matching your wrist taps. Children dance shadow puppets on snow. Even the raven applauds in 4/4 with wing flaps metallic as cymbals. Dinner is barley risotto dyed geyser green. Apparently sauce imported from imaginary Icelandic cousins. Laid clockface style with smoked eel slices at 12, 3, 6, and 9. You eat clockwise, savoring punctuality. Rookie grins, wielding chopsticks like metronome arms. In a corner, Van Dyke sketches his next invention. Goat-resistant sandglass carrot 2.0 night descends. aurora-colored clouds wavering glitchy neon over rooftops. Shadow boards rest quietly, anklets laid on benches, water clocks emptied so they don't freeze. You stroll snowy lanes toward Barack, pockets jangling. Goat-gnawed glass knob, beet ribbon wristband, and rice cake crumbs shaped like hourglyphs. Lavender sachet greets, mingling perfume with brass, syrup, and mineral night air. Under blankets, magma heartbeat below city feels like a loom shuttle weaving molten cloth. Through paper roof tiles you hear a final triple chime. The whisper post signaling cloud claws is over. Stars visible, bells resume. Laughter carries from distant maze where skaters' time spins to your earlier beats. Stones murmur nap always, and you comply. Dream stage unfurls. Sundial anklets orbit like moons, goats run clock towers, and shadow boards bloom into rainbow ladders. Time, tariffs, and bells dance together, all syncing to the universal lullaby that Edo hums to every sleeper beneath its twilight sky. You wake before the bells, long before the bells, because someone in the next room is whisper counting, 97, 98, 99? You slide the shoji just wide enough to spy Rookie hunched over the cedar shelf, trying to balance every single raven trinket into a perfect pyramid for good luck. The moment your face appears he startles. The pyramid avalanches, and an eel pebble ricochets off your forehead. Joke one mutters that even the souvenirs are staging coup d'etat now. Captain Kuma solves the bookshelf rebellion by ordering both of you outside to meet a delegation from the Rice Warehouse Guild. Fresh shipments are arriving on sleds, and the merchants want hikesure eyes on every bale because rumor says a wandering torch troupe plans to rehearse skits by the pier tonight, with real torches. Mainstream historical fact trundles behind the sleds. In late Edo winters, rice deliveries traveled before sunrise to keep grain from sprouting. One stray spark could roast 50 bales faster than any tax assessor could count them. Your job is to escort the convoy through the maze of alleys you flattened yesterday and guarantee zero flambéed carbohydrates. At the first corner you discover the alley narrowed overnight. Neighbors stack snow to build a miniature shrine dedicated to the snow demon figurines now selling like hot mochi. Quirky tidbit melts into view. Some children insist those red-faced snow demons melt faster if you chant fire prevention rhymes backwards. Historians still argue whether that trick teaches literacy or just produces garbled tongue twisters. You negotiate politely. The kids agree to carve a channel for sled runners if you promise the demon shrine its own water bucket. Deal inked, channel carved, convoy rolls. Halfway to the warehouses a roof edge icicle snaps loose, spearing a rice bale like a frozen arrow. You slice away shredded straw, find grains soaked but salvageable, and instruct merchants to sprinkle salt on the leak. Salt dries husk faster than wind. Joke 2 asks if salty rice qualifies as pre-seasoned emergency sushi. The merchants groan but pocket the idea for next year's fare. Rice secured, you escort sleds across the polished canal path. The ice moans, deep cello growl, yet holds, thanks to yesterday's plank grid. Van Dyke waits midspan with his new goat-proof, iron-shod sandglass carrot 2.0 hanging on a tripod. He declares the crossing 5 minutes ahead of schedule. You ring a handheld bell once, notifying warehouse stevedores to open inner gates. Bell echoes bounce off snow walls like polite applause. By noon, every bale rests inside clay-walled silos. Captain rewards you with steaming bowls of zoni soup, broth, toasted mochi, daikon, and just enough yuzu to remind you you're alive. You sip beside the canal, steam mingling with your breath. Raven lands, eyeing the mochi. You break off a corner, trade it for a gift. A postage stamp scrap of parchment showing a tiny etched sundial, surely pilfered from Van Dyke's desk. You thank the bird and slide the trinket into sash. Shrine shelf tier 3 weeps in anticipation. Afternoon briefing. The torch troop will rehearse along Willow Bridge at dusk. Your orders: oversee flame height, block draft tunnels, and test the brand new snow buckets by dousing practice torches on command. You and Rookie haul the pine tar barrels to the bridge. Wind whips off the river, snapping tassel and headband plaque into your ear. Unsubtle reminder to stay awake. Rehearsal begins. Actors swirl long poles crowned with kerosene-soaked wicks. Sparks ride gusts like mischievous fireflies. You ring bell code, 2 short taps for lower flame. They comply. Next cue. You deliberately toss a snowball loaded with alum dust into the air. Snow disintegrates into a fine mist that blankets embers, demonstrating crowd-safe extinguishing. Spectators cheer, thinking it's stagecraft. Rookie bows, pockets another eel pebble hurled by kids impressed with stunt accuracy. Near twilight, an elderly onlooker leans too far over the bridge rail, candle lantern tilting toward rice straw dock lines below. You lunge, catch lantern, and pin it upright before wax spills. The man murmurs thanks and presents a folded slip of poetry. 17 syllables about bell, snow, quiet roofs. You slot it into ledger margin. Later you'll realize it perfectly scans in 755 meter. Not haiku, but close enough for bedtime. Clouds finally part, unveiling a bruised violet dusk streaked with comet tails of hearth smoke. You retreat to tower for night shift. Climbing icy rungs, you pause halfway. The sandglass carrot glows faint indigo within Van Dyke's observation box. Shadow board glistens, ready for moon calibration. Inside hut, lantern flares. Lotus pane scatters petals on cedar walls. New tin snowflake now glued to window catches lamplight, filling hut with refracted starbursts. Accidental planetarium. Bell rope feels pliant after morning warm-up. You ring first quarter hour. Bronze voice sails into night, mixing with the distant beat of temple drums synced by your whisper beats. From planked canal you hear sled runners returning empty, singing rowdy rice shanties. Good. Empty sleds smell less flammable an hour in. Torch troop finishes rehearsal, bows to crowd, and douses wicks in prepared snow buckets. Steam spirals harmlessly. You ring one approving chime. Log. Flame ballet ends without footnotes. Mainstream historical fact tiptoes back, reminding you Edo actors often financed fire brigades with ticket surcharges after deadly stage fires. Your ledger might help them petition for fund matching. Wind rises, but tonight it runs warm, melting roofridge sugar. You scan for runoff streams entering with joints. Quick freeze could split beams by dawn. You ring bell twice, pause once. Ground teams wedge straw in gaps, preventing black ice wedges. Open scholarly debate phrase breezes through when rookie shouts that historians still argue whether straw truly insulates nails or simply distracts termites. You shrug. If the roof survives, termites can file grievances later. Lantern oil laps bottom of dish. You refill, flick away moth wooed by warmth. Tin snowflake spins in night draft, chiming against pain. You secure it with a thread of Van Dyke's goat-proof rope. Homemade wind-chimed S-moon near zenith. A skein of geese passes overhead, silhouettes slicing starfield. You breathe frost, grateful the geese carry no sparks. Bell rings final note near dawn. Bronze tone now so familiar your ribs vibrate in sympathy. Ladder descent brings surprise. Fence finder waits wearing a tiny drum slung under chin. Someone in torch troop apparently bribed him for mascot duty. Joke 3 suggests the Rams' merchandising arc will outpace Snow Demon dolls by spring. You detach drum before he headbutts something sacrificial. Back in Baroque, you wedge mini sundial scrap into shelf slot next to parchment haiku. Shelves hold, creaking but still hold. Lavender sachet breathes out, mixing with faint soy sugar ghost. Moss pillow welcomes. You lie down, turtles curling around half-remembered torch choreography. Eel pebbles steadying heartbeat. Somewhere, temple drums sign off, ravens trade watch with sparrows, and the canal ice hums lullaby key of seat dreams. Door opens onto a maze of glowing lantern rafts sliding over snow, clocks riding goats, and rice bales wearing helmets. You walk the maze confident, bell rope in hand, knowing every twist ends in hush you've already rehearsed. Outside, city exhales into bone-white dawn, safe and sound, waiting for its guardian to climb again, once waking claims the next hourglass tilt. The night deepens into a velvet cloak, and you settle once more into the gentle sway of the Hinomiyagura. Lantern light spills honeyed pools across cedar planks, and your fingers trace the familiar grooves worn smooth by generations of watchmen who whispered the same promises you keep tonight. Somewhere below, the steady tap of wooden clappers marks the rhythm of the night patrol, blending with the distant murmur of the Sumida River. Joke 1 drifts by. If rhythm were melody, you'd have the city's most repetitive hit single, already on its 900th remix. You lean over the railing, inhaling the scent of pine tar from nearby roofs, damp earth from courtyard gardens, and a faint wisp of incense drifting from the neighborhood Inari shrine. High on the horizon, Edo Castle looms like a silent guardian, its silhouette etched against a star-flecked sky, watching over your shift like a stone-faced supervisor who never clocks out. Mainstream historical fact drifts in beside you. By 1800, the shogunate maintained more than 40 Hinomiyagura, each no taller than the shogun's own turrets. A clever way to defend the city without bruising anyone's political ego. The lantern's wick sputters in a mischievous breeze, threatening a mid-watch blackout. You steady the glass, adjusting the flame to a steady amber bead, and glance at the bell rope. Braided hemp polished to silk by countless alarms. A quirky tidbit bubbles up. Some veteran lookouts carried small wooden kokeshi dolls in their sleeves, swearing the dolls absorbed ambient heat and warned them when air temperature spiked toward fire danger. Historians still argue whether wooden thermometers make sense or if lonely men simply wanted pocket-sized pals. Joke two smirks that at least the dolls never demanded a shift change. You ring a single mellow tone. Bronze resonance floats over rooftops, slips through shutter slats, and tucks itself beneath futon quilts like a gentle curfew reminder. Below, clappers answer. Tap tap pause, tap tap, all clear. You smile, shoulders uncoiling, and sink onto your cushion. The tower sways, matching the quiet roll of your breath. Minutes blur into the velvet hush until the faint pluck of a shamisen wanders up from a tea house closing for the night. Each note hangs in the air, trembles, then dissolves into memory. You let eyelids drift half-mast, but the lavender tassel on your headband tickles your brow. Built-in alarm clock, courtesy of the neighborhood seamstress. Joke 3 whispers gratitude. Cheaper than coffee, fewer jitters, and no surprise bathroom breaks mid-ladder. Clouds slide across the moon, silvering your view. You scan. Bathhouse chimneys banked low, kiln vents dormant, festival debris fully cleared after yesterday's jamboree. A stray cat perches on a kara roof, tail twitching. You note potential spark risk from its flicking tail against gutter soot, then remind yourself cats rarely burst into flame. Paranoia recalibrated. Beneath the rhythmic hush you notice one oddity. A faint orange blush glowing behind the apothecary's back window. You narrow your eyes, could be leftover lamp or worse. You tug bell twice, hold, once. The coded phrase for verify interior flame. Hikes your speed down the lane, shadows stretching like black ink strokes. Through the tower's hatch you watch them knock. A bleary apothecary appears, brandishing mortar. Turns out he forgot to snuff a drying brazier under medicinal herbs. Water sloshes, steam sighs, crisis exhaled. You log incident. Herbal oversight, bucket remedy, no damage. Wind shifts, cooler now, carrying distant temple drums announcing the hour of the tiger. You shiver lightly. Cedar absorbs your chill and creaks in solidarity. You draw jacket tighter, feeling the embroidered turtles press reassuringly against your spine. Memory of yesterday's auditor victory. Another mainstream fact drifts through your mind. Night watch jackets doubled as makeshift parachutes when watchmen leapt from roofs onto neighboring eaves during a blaze. The billowing fabric slowed descent just enough for heroic landings. Your turtles would approve of such athletic theatrics, though you hope never to test the theory. The lantern wanes again, oil thinning. You refill, careful not to spill on tower floorboards. Cedar loves stories, but not oil stains. Flames steady, shadows retreat. You glance at the ledger, add quiet breeze, no sparks. In margins, you sketch the raven's latest origami turtle, wings flapping as if ready to bail you out should wit fail. Clouds finally roll aside, revealing Orion straddling Edo like a guardian archer. You trace stars, mapping them into a ladder shape, private constellation linking tower to infinite hush above. Breath slows, heartbeat aligning to distant magma throb. Your third bell of the night rings soft. Echoes fade, replaced by nothing but the faint stroke of time itself as violet dawn tints east. Clappers below switch cadence. Shift change signal. You stretch, joints popping like small fireworks that forgot the festival ended. Before descent, you tug the bell one last time. Thanks and goodbye in resonant bronze. It rolls across roofs, kisses dawn, kisses sleepers, kisses you. Ladder rungs accept weight, do slick but familiar. At bottom, Rookie greets you with steaming barley tea laced with hint of ginger. You swap stories. Herbal mishap, shamisen lullaby, Kokeshi superstition. He shares rumor that ill weather forecasts may return. New apprentice loves fish. Historians will surely keep arguing. You step into baroque dimness, slide door, and exhale. Moss pillow waits beneath lavender sachet. Origami crane and turtle perch like twin wardens. You tuck head, feel cool straw through cloth, and smile. Edo lies safe below, dawn painting every wooden eave in fresh gold. Your promise kept, your watch complete. You surrender to sleep's velvet hush without fear of fire or auditors. Only dreams that smell faintly of pine tar, tea steam, and doll-sized luck charms riding lotus petal lanterns toward another quiet night. The maze lanes you stamped yesterday now glitter glassy under a pale half-moon. Captain Kuma waves you over to the canal, where the ice path has thickened into translucent jade. He points at an ox-drawn sled piled with charcoal crates bound for the orphanage bathhouse. Tonight's bath tokens? Apparently, and insists you escort it across before families begin New Year shrine visits. Mainstream historical fact hitches a ride. Charitable bathhouses fired up extra tubs on New Year's Eve so even paupers could start the calendar clean. Fires grew hotter than festival gossip, so Hikeshire acted as moving firewall. You rope the sled, test each cedar plank stepping stone, and start across. Halfway, a low boom reverbs beneath your boots. Ice sighs but holds. Rookie stiffens, eyes wide, but you tap your bell pin once for calm. On the far bank, nuns in padded kimono greet you with grateful bows and steaming oolong. You sip, steam fogs tassel, good sign, steam up here instead of down on rooftops. Returning, you find Van Dyke beside the steam cannon, now modified with a pivoting mirror to track embers at night. He insists you test his latest invention. A wrist bell spliced with tiny brass gears so each bell ring turns a cog that advances a bead on wire. Primitive step counter for bucket runs. Quirky tidbit sparkles. Some Edo gamblers allegedly bet on how many bell pulls it took a crew to quell a blaze, keeping secret tallies on abacus beads. Historians still argue whether such wagers funded hose repairs or just lined dice dens. You strap on the contraption. It tings like a metal cricket with performance anxiety. Joke two chirps, you've become a walking music box. Watch your tempo. Twilight crawls in purple and gold, and the shrine maze flares alive via hundreds of candle boats sliding through snow troughs. Your fire vein tubes hidden, rice paper plugs ready. You climb the tower one last time this year. Lotus pane lantern blooming orange in the blue dusk. Bell rope feels smooth. Cedar token of steadiness warm in glove. You ring the first quarter hour. Bronze note drifts and dissolves into the hush of anticipation blanketing Edo. Below, families shuffle through the maze clutching paper fortunes. A child sparkler fizzes too close to a bamboo panel. Your bell barks twice. Ground crew punctures rice paper plug. Water whooshes. Ember drowns. Parents cheer, child gapes, thinks it part of show. Ledger note. Sparkler diplomacy achieved. Wind shifts from north. You unfold Van Dyke's goat-proof fan. Gauge breeze. Flames lean but remain disciplined. You inhale pine tar, exhale frost. Suddenly a snow fox darts across tiles of the lacquer shop, tail brushing chimney soot. Embers tumble, tiny but real. You launch a skyrocket. Emerald flare arcs, shards wink. Bucket runners sprint the ice path, sledding across planks like practiced ghosts. In 20 heartbeats, straw paddles smother sparks. Your wrist bell gears click forward exactly 7 beads. Captain below whistles approval. Joke 3 gleams. The step counter just 1 Van Dyke 5 chestnuts from skeptical gamblers. Hour of the rat nears. Temple drums boom 12. Their sound carrying a promise that a fresh calendar leaf awaits unsinged. You ring the bell in triple cadence, traditional year-turn lullaby. Families pause mid-maze, bow toward towers, and for one breath the entire city synchronizes heartbeat to bronze resonance. Snow hushes deeper, even fence finder stops jingling, and the hush, you record final ledger lines. Charcoal convoy delivered. Maze flames behaved. Step counter gears survived. City ends year flame-free. You close the book, ink still wet but history already written. Lantern oil low, you lower wick, letting petals fade to embers. Cedar beams creak a congratulatory sigh. The tower rocks in gentle approval. Dawn teases pink on horizon as you descend icy rungs one last time. The shift, wrist bell freezing mid-click. Rookie meets you at bottom, eyes bright despite fatigue. He presses a thick envelope. Merchant's collective thanks containing 10 rice voucher slips and a miniature wooden Kokeshi doll wearing painted turtles. You grin. Doll goes straight to shelf tier 3. Captain Kuma clasps your shoulder, murmurs, "Another year guarded. Sleep, guardian." Back inside, shrine shelves overflow, a jigsaw of memories. Crane, gear, eel stone, snowflake, demon, sundial scrap, and now Kokeshi sentinel. You breathe lavender, steady, familiar, and rest the weighted ledger atop the box like a final roof tile. Moss pillow cool but proud under ear. Turtle lining swaddles you in scaled armor of duties fulfilled. Outside, temple bells roll first notes of the new year, but inside, silence braids with satisfaction. You drift, knowing the city has turned its calendar in safety, bucket by bucket, bell by bell, and you'll wake again when the lavender sash and cedar beams call for chapter 1 of another cycle. The cold dawn hush settles over every roof, every silent bucket, every plank you pressed into snow. You breathe it in slow, easy, and feel the air glide down to rest behind the heart, where each beat now moves a little slower, a little softer. Muscles unclench, warmth spreads from moss pillow up the curve of your spine, and lavender's gentle sweetness unfurls like petals meeting morning light. Outside, the final echoes of temple bells melt into the distance, replaced by nothing but the faint rustle of cedar rafters and the soft, contented sigh of a city still sleeping. Let the memory of bronze notes drift across your thoughts like low clouds over quiet rooftops. Picture the maze candles shrinking into friendly freckles of glow, the snow-soft lanes gleaming beneath a sky rinsed clean of sparks and worries. Each breath now, in and out, is a careful bucket of cool water poured over the embers of the day. Feel ribcage rise, cleansing inhale, pause, then sink, sending any lingering tension trickling down into the floorboards, far from restless thoughts. Hands, unclasp, shoulders, loosen, jaw, release. The hush thickens, cushioning every corner of the room and every corner of your mind. There will be new ladders to climb, new bells to ring, but not now. For now, the tower keeps watch by itself. Lantern wick turned low, lotus petals fading into comfortable dusk. The raven, fence finder, even the restless snow demons, all curl into their own quiet corners. And you, guardian of fireless nights, deserve the deep, unbroken rest that comes when every duty is done and every ember is cold, so let sleep drift closer. Let it wrap you in velvety darkness, in cedar scent, in the soft echo of a promise kept. Inhale once more, lavender and peace. Exhale slowly, and slip beneath the surface of dreams, where even the loudest bells ring gentle.